What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Scoundrels of the Force. My name is PLD, and I'm here to welcome you with my brothers in arms. First off, this way. I almost did this way, but this way. My boy, Matty Gunner, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, buddy. How are you?
I'm not doing bad myself, and it's always good to see you on this new time that we're developed here at 1 o'clock Eastern, well, 1:15 Eastern or so. It's better for everybody, we feel, and I'm liking this time frame.
Yeah. I
You
feel a lot
know,
more alive at this time. I haven't like zombie crawled out of bed to like meet the older time and be like, oh, and
I got to
you
be
got
interested
dark
about that.
hills,
Next
jump
week, I come
right.
back. Because next week when I come back, this is what I usually do is I work on Saturday nights and I come home and do the show and then go to bed. Now I'm going to be coming home,
Oh,
go to bed, and waking up to the show. So I might be the one needing a little bit of coffee at that point. But we'll find out, I guess. You don't know until it happens, right? So,
mm.
but of course, we're not alone here. We have my brother from another mother, my Estonian brother, Mr. Richard Eric Jarvi. How are you doing, my friend?
What's going on? We're talking about my favorite Star Wars movie of all time, and I can see Kaupo is already in the chat there. What's up? He's my Estonian Star Wars brother.
Nice, nice. Always good to welcome new people on to the Scoundrels
We
page.
always quote Darth Sidious during the Mace Windu fight. So like, no, you will die. It's like our main shit that we usually say.
That's right. That's what we're talking about today. Fortunately, we do give a lot of love out there to Bedora. She has been through some crazy stuff, but she will return in a few weeks. She gets settled in. We miss her. But that's another good thing about the movie we are just talking about, move time wise, as I say. We're actually going to have a few more guests here and there. We kind of touched base with a few people. We almost had some guests on today, couldn't quite work it out. But maybe we'll have some future scoundrels to discuss this greatest franchise in the history of mankind, bar none. Some people will argue the MCU, but it's always going to be Star Wars to me.
Who's arguing the MCU? Like, I want to have a chat with those people.
They don't know what they're talking about. I love the MCU, but So let's move it on to the first thing we're going to talk about today is the news of the day. News of the day. We don't have a whole lot of news this week, and that's okay. Sometimes news is good news. Not in the case of reporting, that's all right. There's not the one thing I wanted to bring up. The first thing I wanted to bring up was they announced a new novel. They don't have a cover for it, but the name of the novel is called Ronin. It's going to be written by Emma Mieko Kandon, coming out October 12th. The interesting aspect of this is that it's inspired by Star Wars Vision, which is, if we don't remember, Star Wars Visions is going to be a series of animated short films celebrating the Star Wars galaxy through the lens of the world's best anime creators. This anthology collection will bring 10 fantastic visions from several of the leading Japanese anime studios, offering a fresh and diverse cultural perspective of Star Wars. That quote was from Kathleen Kennedy when she debuted it on the D23 bracket earlier in the year, well, last year now. I can't believe it's 2021. What is time at this point?
What is time?
Now, this is the important news. This is not going to be a novelization of one of those short films or whatever. It is actually just going to be inspired by one of them, which makes me happy. I don't want to say novelization of those things. That doesn't make much sense to me. But an original story inspired by, that gives me more connectivity, more connective tissue. I love it. I think it's also good to notice that we're getting stuff that's outside the High Republic, because Star Wars right now is concentrating their novel side on the High Republic. I'm glad we're still getting some other things outside the High Republic as well. What are you guys thinking about this?
The title sounds kind of like a samurai story.
Yeah, well, it's got to be right. So hopefully Jedi Sith related, maybe, hopefully.
Yeah, this sounds right up my alley. Obviously, we know George Lucas was heavily inspired by Kurosawa.
Yep.
So this leans right into that. I'm a huge Kurosawa fan. You've only got to know me for about 5 minutes, know what I do to know that something Star Wars, samurai, martial artsy.
You're on board.
You got my money. You
You're
got my money.
That makes sense to me, man. Real quick, got my coworker in the chat. What do you call a pirate droid? R2D2. Boo! Boo! But a small part of me does love it. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean that is very much a dad joke, and
It is. It's such a dad joke.
And I'm a dad, so works enough for me. So, okay, well, that's the first bit of news that comes out October 12th. I'm interested to see without anything further about it. Who knows what we're gonna get into with it, but hopefully it'll be something fun. The next thing we have coming up is StarWars.com actually released a first excerpt of Skywalker, A Family at War. We got the title or the picture of that book right here. Now, this is, I mentioned this before in some of our news bits. I guess it's going to be a biography of the Skywalker family done from like the originals, like from the prequels, all the way through to the sequels, like the whole 9+ movies, including appearances outside, obviously. What are you guys' thoughts on this? I'll let you guys go first on this one.
Is this like a the world of Song of Ice and Fire kind of type thing? Because if it's an autobiography, like a biography, it feels like it's going to be on the characters. It's going to be like in character kind of a biography, right? Not about the actors or something.
I don't.
It's like
no, it's not. It's not about the. It is about the characters, not the actors.
Yeah.
It is completely in world. That's the way they're taking it. What it is, it's. I get the feeling from the excerpt. I read a little brief excerpt on it. I don't usually read the excerpts because I usually like to read a book. Like I don't bother giving me a preview. Just give me the book. But this one I was kind of curious as what was going on. The excerpt I read, it just seems like someone is like an official, or it's like a in-universe biography of them. I guess if somebody living in the universe did a whole research project on the Skywalkers, like, and tells the whole history of the Skywalker, of the whole Skywalkers from beginning to end. Now, the one thing that I question about that is like, well, isn't that the movies?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that what the movies are, pretty much?
Are they going to sell it like they found 3PO's like memory chip and this is sort of the whole story? Or but that's exactly what you said. It's the movies. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Say, all right, hey Buck, good to see you.
What up, Buck?
What's up, Brendan?
One of you could do the best Chewbacca roar. I don't know. Give it a shot. Go ahead, Gunnar.
I can do a Yoda laugh, but that's about it.
Do the Yoda laugh.
That's pretty good. Now do Chewbacca. Do a Chewbacca. Come on.
Chewbacca.
I'm not gonna.
That's pretty good.
Are you okay, Matty?
No, that's pretty good. Okay. I was going to do mine. I don't know if I
that hurt my throat a little bit.
Sorry for laughing. It's just I'm not gonna try because it's gonna be way worse than yours.
And clip that.
I hope someone's just like tuning in. We're going.
Of course, Danny Ramirez. I love Danny.
What's up, Danny?
Hey, Danny.
Is that going to be canon? Yeah, as far as I know, it's going to be a canon thing. It's going to tell all things. So my hope for the books, going back to that, my hope for the books is that it's going to be going to give us more details that we don't see, stuff that we haven't seen in the movie. It's almost like deleted scenes in a way, and maybe give more context, give me a viewpoint on what some of the stuff we got to see, which could color some of the views, maybe add a little more depth to it, which is fine by me. Yep, that's exactly it. So yeah, World of Ice and Fire, Septim Barth writing a history book for Joffrey. That's what I'm hoping it kind of is.
Septim Barth? Oh no, Barth.
Barth. Not Barth. I guess Matty, you won. I guess that's what we're doing. That's fine. That's good. I'll take
Love that. I can do a few Star Wars characters impressions. I'm not gonna do them live on air without.
You're gonna have to do them now.
With Streamlabs donations, I will do impressions on air.
Hey, streamlabs.com/PLD projects. You want to hear Matty do some on-air impressions? That's how you get it done. I like that.
We're not big enough to.
No, probably not.
500 and then we'll do impressions.
Yeah, there you go. This is my way of me putting off doing them, Jarvi.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Good call.
But back to the book, I will say that a lot of people have said I don't know if the word it's not sick of it. They kind of want to move on from the Skywalkers. They want to see more things. They're excited about the High Republic. They're excited to see new tales and everything else. And I agree. I love the Mandalorian. I love all the stuff we're getting. At the same time, Star Wars has always been about the Skywalkers for me. So if I can get a little scratch on that itch to get a little more Skywalkers in some kind of way, I'm all for it. So I'm actually pretty excited about this book. I'm hoping that you get a few new insights that we might not have gotten before. Are you guys going to get this book? Are you looking forward to it all? Is it something that you're into, or are you just like, eh?
I might get it, just because it seems like the kind of what we do on this show is we essentially do deep dives into characters, into story arcs. This seems to be like someone in world doing it.
Right.
Someone
Yes.
that's actually there and was a part of the Skywalker family. Well, not a part of the family, but like knew who Darth Vader was, knew who Luke was, Leia, etc.
Right.
And we've already seen in the comics they start to piece those things together. Like with the most recent Vader run, we've now seen Vader now knows what happened to Padme.
Right.
He knows how she died. And we now know his reaction to Luke finding out that he was his father, and we know his reaction to rejecting him as his father. It wasn't a good one.
Right.
It really got to him.
Mm-hmm.
So we're starting to see more pieces of the Skywalker family history get put together that we not necessarily did before.
Yep.
And while I think, it would be nice to move on, if you give us good new information, I'm all for it.
Absolutely.
I just realized that Vader telling Luke that his father is like the worst reaction that a father can get. Like, you're my son. No. Yeah, fuck it. I'm just jumping off the phone. I'm out. Fuck it. Just like,
damn.
Pretty harsh.
Oh, damn.
Like,
the single Darth Vader rolling down his face.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he didn't have to pay child support that whole time. So
sure. Fair enough. I think no one's bringing Darth Vader to court over it. That's for sure. And yeah, you're right. I would like to. I think it's interesting to see what other people have to say, especially if it's from that angle. I'm hoping that we actually get what it is. The biographer does stuff, but I hope we do get quotes from other people who are still alive at the time, potentially, or some people who were around during that. So and so said this, or somebody could be someone like Captain Typho said this. Someone like he was around there, or whatever, or someone like one of Luke's friends on Tatooine, kind of things like that could bring up that as well, or somebody. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways you tackle this and make it interesting to me. So. I'm excited about it. So,
who was the guy that he was? What's the line? He was shooting a womp rat, or
shooting a womp rat with T-16 back on.
Right.
I was talking to Biggs, but apparently talking to Biggs.
He was talking to Biggs, but no, he didn't say
Wedge. Actually, he was talking to Wedge. He was talking
Wedge.
To
Wedge. Yep, it was Wedge.
Biggs was around at that point too. But yeah, there could have been. I mentioned Tank at one point. I mentioned Cammy and Mormy at one point. We also mentioned in like the novelizations. You can bring a lot of those characters back. That's the good thing what they've been doing about canon recently. They've been cherry picking these old things that weren't too bad from the old EU and making them canon again. So I like that idea because you don't want to erase everything they've done in history. You just want to erase some of the bad shit. So
there's also one thing I want to know is like what happened to Shmi immediately after Anakin left? How did she take that?
Yeah, yeah. Well, a little bit. Obviously, she got freed by Klieg and married her and everything, but we don't exactly know how that went down. That's actually something that'd be potentially interesting.
And then if we jump a little forward, we could get a. Why am I blanking on the name again? The guy from Joel Edgerton's Lars.
Owen.
Lars. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So we could get something from him. That would be kind of cool to see.
Definitely. Absolutely. All right, now let's move on to the next panel. We've got a couple more little pieces before we break into our meat and potatoes of the episode about episode 3. We got Andor aerial shots.
Mm-hmm. You're not a fan of these shots.
I'm not. All right, I'll let it know now. I get to a lot of my news from Star Wars News and Net, obviously. Good people over there. They curate all the news that I need to see, really, honestly. Instead of hunting down from different sources, looking for things, this is all the Star Wars news in one place. And it's all the ones that are important. And if they put it on there, they're very good at telling you, like, whether it's a rumor, whether it's confirmed, how good the sources are. They're very good at, like, cutting through the bullshit. So I like going there. One of the things that they do, it's not their fault because they're just reporting on the news. A lot of times you'll see reports, they have, like, aerial footage of shooting taking place. It's obviously like not officially released stuff. Not people don't want to know. So I don't really love looking at them per se. But for the show, I did, and I'll put up one image there. It's from the shot of Andor. We don't have any context of what's going on. We just know that they're filming Andor. I almost say Jarvi was saying, like what is it, like a Lego set, really?
Yeah, the sides look like Lego tractors and cranes.
It does. It looks like you can see a stormtrooper there, potentially some Imperial presence, maybe. I don't know what's going on, but I guess that's why I don't like. I love speculation, but I don't like speculating too much about that stuff when it's not something we're supposed to be seeing, right? It's like an invasion of. It's just like an invasion of. I don't want them to show me. I want them to show me what stuff is done, what they want me to see. Afterward is fine. When you're done, you want to go back and go, oh, this is what's happened behind the scenes. That's cool. But to me, this is kind of like if they're not ready to be seen, then why are we bothering? But I get why people are excited about seeing that stuff. I mean, I guess way back in the day, I was excited a little bit. But what do you guys thoughts on this?
And from the newspaper it's coming from as well, the Daily Mail, and we were talking about this a little before the show. I'm going to enlighten a lot of people in here. The Daily Mail are the scum of the earth in terms of newspapers. They are a horrible, horrible tabloid magazine. Piers Morgan was at one time linked to them, and he was involved in the hacking of a mobile phone of a dead girl by the name of Millie Dowler. And that's just the kind of people that they are. They're invasive. They don't care for privacy. They just want to get a scoop. They twist the truth. That's kind of their MO. They're just not. They're not the kind of people that I would ever want to associate with or read their publication. So this doesn't surprise me that they would go and do something like this. You know, send a drone or whatever they used over onto a private film set, which that's trespassing for one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious how the drone got through, because apparently we were just talking with Paul before. There's like Disney has hired drone hunters to drive around, like fly around the other drones to shoot down the invading drones. So
I don't know code, sir, but it checks out. That's rich. They hacked the system. They got the security clearance.
But what do you think is going on in this picture? What do you think is like happening there? We haven't gotten into that.
Yeah. Well, it looks like. It's hard to tell. I have no idea what the story is at this point. I mean, I got to think, is it the stormtrooper or is it a clone trooper? I can't tell, because obviously we know that Andor was in this battle since he was 6 years old, and his family were separatists and things like that.
Those two in white look kind of like scout troopers.
They do look more like scout troopers to me. That's what I was saying. So it does look more. I threw that out there as a potential possibility because we don't know when exactly a lot of this is going to take place. But it just looks like
like an ambush.
Yes, like an ambush potentially. Maybe I'm wrong here, but this looks like a more well-to-do area so far. Like the people from this angle, they look like they're better well dressed than unless it's just a lot of military type people. It's hard to get a real vague look in there. But I'm interested. Definitely some kind of ambush going on. Looks like, or at least some kind of public spectacle of some kind potentially as well that they're gonna have to shut down or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
And I'm glad to see that it's a practical set. That it's I do love the what's it called, the stuff that they use on Mandalorian. The set virtual.
Yep. I can't think of the name of it.
Volume.
The volume. Yeah, the volume. Yeah, sort of, because in this case you can see that it's an actual practical set that they're on.
Yeah, love that as well. Well. Okay, go one more small piece of news I think we can bring up before we break into our other sections of the show. There was a quote from Kevin Scott, who is one of the main High Republic architects, as we are talking about. I haven't had much to talk about the High Republic yet. We're still waiting for the next real big book to come out. We do have June 29th is a middle grade novel, and the next big novel is July 6th, The Rising Storm by Mr. Kevin Scott. He had a comment, which I'm not sure how. I have two thoughts on it, two feelings going both ways. It said the Acolyte did not impact or alter the storytelling for the High Republic. Now, the Acolyte is a show announced by Kathleen Kennedy. It's in development for Disney Plus, and one of the selling points was that it took place near the end of the High Republic, or that era of the High Republic. So there was a lot of speculation that they were going to perhaps overlap, that one was going to lead into another, that this was going to perhaps take a lot of pieces from the High Republic storyline they had going. It seems to tell me that there's nothing going on between the two. Part of that is disappointing to me in terms of I just love connectivity. That's why I do love the MCU so much. I love being able to go from bit to bit to bit, and things are brought in from other things. It just makes the world feel connected in a way that other IPs really can't get to do very much. So I'd like to see more of that. At the same time, it makes sense. And the High Republic was in production or development a long time ago, and the Acolyte was kind of done a little bit later on. I think the Acolyte was just sitting there because the High Republic was basically made an era when the Acolyte was like created. Like, well, this would take place at the end of the High Republic era. That's just where it would fit in the storyline wise. That's okay too, because we can have a story that takes place in the same general area, doesn't overlap because it's such a big universe. So both ways are okay with me. But what are your thoughts, Jarvi?
I think it's a blessing in disguise, sort of, because of course I do love connectivity, but what I love more is freedom of telling these stories. That's why, like you said it yourself, it's kind of like you love the Legends books. You love that stuff, but it's not canon, so they can't use it anymore. So now they can only do stories that fit the universe. That way, there's more freedom. They can do stuff that they just want to. Because the X-Men universe is a pretty good example. That is an awesome universe, but there's like almost no connectivity between the different movies. So it can work, and I'm sure it will work.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Matty?
I like it, kind of, sort of. Again, I'm in two minds as well, because obviously the Acolytes they're part of the Sith. You become an Acolyte before you become a Sith apprentice. So if it's standalone, great. Standalone Sith series. You got my money. But if it does connect, I can see how it would, because a lot of the storytelling of the High Republic is you have the two main villains of the Nihil and the Drengir. So this could be like the connective tissue between the High Republic and the prequels. So I'm still curious. In fact, now I'm more curious, because if it didn't affect the writing of the High Republic, that means they have the High Republic planned out. So this must be a bit of connective tissue between the two.
I like that idea. And it is. I mean, even if it's not, this doesn't actually preclude anything. All the really quote says did not impact or alter the storytelling for the High Republic. Not going to alter it, obviously. That's a good thing. You don't want to alter it. Impact just simply means that it didn't really change anything. It doesn't mean that the Acolyte can't take things from the High Republic. It doesn't mean it didn't go the other way. High Acolyte could actually obviously take stuff that happened from the High Republic and use what made sense for them to kind of further it on the storyline. So we could see characters potentially. We could maybe see maybe a plot line that was dangled a little bit. They could choose high up, or a side plot. They could expand on some things potentially. So it doesn't really basically bother me much. And when I originally read it, I was like, oh, shit. And now as I sit back, I'm like, that's okay. I'm ready to move on with it. It's fine. So there we go. All right, let's move on. Really quickly, we're going to actually introduce a new segment to the show. Obviously, a lot of us in this space are fans of the movie Trivia Schmodown. A lot of us come from that as well. Obviously, I've been working with the FCL, which debuts on Tuesday, on March 30th. But one of the things I wanted to tie this together is it's a Star Wars show. The MTS and the FCL will have Star Wars. MTS does have a Star Wars division. The FCL will eventually have a Star Wars division.
Will you?
We will. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, you didn't know that, huh? We will. We'll start out with singles, and we'll eventually develop into IG and Star Wars after we establish the singles and the singles champions and things like that nature. So we'll get there. But we'll have discussions here because this is Star Wars. We'll talk about the Star Wars related versions of that. And obviously, the movie Trivia Schmodown just had a recent announcing of a Star Wars tournament, Star Wars movie trivia. And this is what it came down to. We got Marie Wilson playing Gold Leader. Marie Wilson from The Usual Suspects, which is Gold Leader from the Finstock Exchange. Zach Burkett from The Star versus Adam Witt in the Dungeon. Ace Cabrera from Swag taking on Sean Sully, friend of the show, Sean Sullivan. And finally, Thomas Harper and Eric Whiteley from the Den and the Quirky Mercs, respectively. I guess I'll just talk real quick about my thoughts about just who was entered. Then we can talk about the matches if you'd like. I think the Marie Wilson gold leader were pretty much no-brainers if that was going to happen. Zach Burkett was also the number 1 stars. Adam Witt was a surprise. Not surprise, but there was a. I don't know if surprise is the right word, but they do have Mara Knopik, who's the IG champ, who's going to go into Star Wars. And you have Molly Damon. They went with Adam Witt. So that's a discussion we'll have in a couple minutes, I think. Andres Cabrera made sense with Laura not having a title, with Laura having her title shot. Sullivan over Scrimshaw. Some people are surprised at, although I will say right off the bat, I believe that Scrimshaw was not going to be available for the first part of the year anyway, is what I've heard. So I don't know if there's a chance of Sullivan over Scrimshaw or Scrimshaw over Sullivan, but I'm actually very happy at Sean Sullivan, so I'm going to give him another chance. And Harper and Whiteley also make sense for their respective division points at this point. But yeah, so with that in mind, any match jump out at you guys?
I like the Ace versus Sully match.
Mhm.
I would have liked Ace to have been the other side of the bracket because I think that would have been a hell of a matchup for the finals.
True.
Carl's in the building. Another one of my Estonian friends. Sorry to cut in there.
That's
What's
right.
going on? It looks like the link is spreading amongst my friends. Interesting.
That's awesome.
Interesting.
Obviously, I want to see what Harper's got because he's the one that's been talked about as
Yep.
the next one to be
Yep.
Alex Damon. So those two, but that Ace and Sully one is the one that intrigues me the most.
Yeah, me too. I honestly think that could be the biggest place we have a upset. I think a lot of people are thinking Ace will win that one, and I understand why. He had a hell of a run, and Sean has been a little inconsistent at times, but I do think that Sean actually, in his last match against Marie, I would argue that Sean lost that match and Marie didn't beat him. That's what I think. I think Sean
Agreed.
was beatable. Sean had a little snafu with the Attack of the Clones question, which was a script question, not a movie question. That definitely threw him. So I feel like that is a upset that could potentially happen. Hey, look at that, Andres Gallego. We love Mr. Andres Gallego.
What's up, dude?
Always good to see. And Buck says gold leader, Burkett, Ace, and Harper are the first round picks. Those are the standbys. Those are the ones I think everybody's picking. I think those are all the favorites in the matches. So I can't deny that's probably why you do that way. I will say, if I had to say it, I agree with gold leader. So Marie Wilson was fine. I think she was good. She's a good, strong competitor. But some of her questions, I think she's going to miss one or two. I think she's going to be just a little bit short each time. So I think that's the case there. In the Harper, I'll go across the way, go Harper versus Whiteley. I think Whiteley has a big following. I think that Harper is the man. I do think that Harper is the man. Everything I've talked to about him, every time I've seen him talk about Star Wars, he just seems to be just as advertised, basically. So I have no problem believing Harper wins. That's what I think.
Okay. I like that.
As far as going back to the other matches,
can I ask what's going to happen with the winner of this tournament? Is the winner going to take on either? Shot. Sorry, it's a title shot. So
title shot. Whoever
is the last Star Wars match. Can we talk about the outcome?
Spoilers? Yeah.
That's been okay. So we can. So the winner of this tournament is going to be playing Dimolanta.
No, not necessarily, because actually Damon gets a rematch first.
That's what I wanted to ask: is which one is happening first, and if one of them is going to lose, so the other one is not going to be in the tournament at all.
No. Correct.
Like the one who's going to lose the title match is not
right there.
Sorry,
this is the tournament right here. That's it.
Yep.
There's no Damon. Laura also has a number 1 contender spot after beating Molly Damon. So Laura Kelly gets to face the winner of Damon and Dimolata. So we don't know who the champion is going to be at this, but whoever wins it does get an eventual title shot. When the title shot is, we don't know yet. It all depends on how things go down scheduling wise. But just to finish out my match picks, I will say I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Sully beats Ace. I'm going to go out on a limb and say I think Sully's been working strong. Ace might have a little bit of ring rust. I don't know. I don't know. I have to see what's going to go on. But
the thing with Sean, and this is something that I've noticed, that every match he seems to improve.
Yes,
he gets that little bit better. His gameplay gets better. His knowledge improves, And like we said, he lost the last match he had. Marie didn't beat him.
Right.
So I think he's due a win for sure.
Yep. 100%. And finally, the last match, Burkett versus Witt. I gotta pick Burkett. I love Adam Witt. I think Adam Witt wins by just being Adam Witt, as Billy Pelford will say on C2A. I totally agree with that. And I also will argue that Witt is severely underrated.
It's time as well. Mm-hmm.
Doesn't have a win. I know that. But he always he has these moments where he pulls these 5-pointers out. He'll stumble a little bit here and there. But I got to tell you, people dismiss him a lot. So I would absolutely love to see Witt sneak a win on here. But considering how much Damon touts Burkett without knowing him, if Damon's touting him as much as he is, he's got good friends with Damon, it's hard for him to believe that he'll lose. But that one I'll come back to after I see. I think Burkett has a match coming up. I believe it's before the tournament. I'll maybe revisit that one. But right now I'm picking Burkett, but I'm hoping to God it's Witt.
Yeah, I think I need to see Burkett play, because this is no disrespect, but isn't Dragon Con essentially one long multiple choice round?
Yeah, there's a lot of multiple choice in there. That's very true. But I know we saw him a replay. Gold Leader played pretty well. He was a Dragon Con, but he was a trivia player. Let's see what Harper does and what Burkett does exactly. That's true. That's a good point. It's a very good point that you bring up. But you have to, just to get into that, you gotta have that base knowledge. So
yeah, I think it's more the gameplay that'll upset him, especially because we've seen Witt knows how to utilize challenge as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he does. He absolutely does. So, and Kaiser will be right there by his side, and Kaiser's going to ride or die with him. So that's a good point. So maybe we'll hopefully say. Real quick, Andreas, can you clarify one thing for me? I know there's a lot more questions that are coming from Extended Universe. The Kylo's Kyber Crystal question. Kyber Crystal is setting for Star Wars, including expanded. Yes,
that's a good question.
It is true. Stuff that's included, like in the official guides and stuff, like the expanded, like the official encyclopedias of the movies or whatever. Those, if it's a canon thing, then yes, it does count. At this point, you can't the difference between the question that Sean had, which was a little off, was the fact that the quote came from a shooting script, not from the actual film. So that contradicted it, and that's why it's a follow wrong. But a lot of the names aren't ever mentioned in the movies. A lot of the names aren't mentioned there. A lot of something like that. So when it comes to names or names of weapons and vehicles, those things are all in like the guides and stuff. That's where you get those from, or from the toys or whatever. That's where they come from. And that needs to happen, obviously, in Star Wars, especially after this long with a certain limited amount of movies. I mean, they've talked about eventually bringing Mandalorian and maybe Clone Wars into the fold in the Trivia Showdown. They've talked about that at some point.
Wow.
They haven't officially gone with that. They might go the other way. I will say this is my fucking show, so I'll do it here. And only got 6 people watching anyway. For the FCL, I am toying with having the Star Wars division. I've been given free reign to potentially do it as long as I announce it to them. I might bring the FCL. I might bring Mandalorian and Clone Wars into the Star Wars division of the FCL.
Just Clone Wars or Rebels as well?
Rebels as well, potentially.
Okay, so the entire TV universe as well.
I'm toying with it. I haven't made my mind up officially, especially because that means a lot more questions, and I have to divide up stuff on my team and everything else. But I'm not going to rule it out. Let's put it that way.
I like that. In some ways, it will make this league sort of more. I don't want to say it's going to make it tougher than the actual league, or the big league, let's say.
Might be. Well, since I'm on the tangent already, my heart tells me if I do it, it would be more of a. I kind of have a compromise, probably middle ground. It wouldn't be as expansive as you like. It wouldn't be this boom, but I might have like a TV slice. Maybe I'd start that way. I think a Mandalorian slice, maybe animated slice, maybe going something like that instead of like just sprinkling it out. Just kind of slowly introduce it in a way. But
TV slice is good. TV slice is a good idea. I think you should. That should definitely be. You should try that one.
So that's what that's all I'll mention on that because there's nothing else. I don't know yet. I don't know. That's the idea. Is like this. Don't hold me to it. Don't quote me on it. If it comes down, it just end up being Star Wars. Like it doesn't slow down. It might be, but I'll have to see. That's a good point. Well, AFCL, we do have questions about Resistance. There won't be many because I'm not going to rewatch it, to be honest. Too. I was a huge fan of
Yeah,
Resistance.
please don't put in Resistance. As someone who's like trying to compete, please don't put Resistance in.
Great idea, Andres. Right? And how many total FCL competitors are there? Well, right now on the roster, it's I'm going to say very fluid 42, 43 at this point are on the roster. And I mean by fluid is that one of the great things about the FCL is that I consider us kind of like the Schmodown season 4 or 5, like we're the Guerrilla Schmodown again, like in terms of we don't have factions. We don't have a limit. Like they have, how many factions do you have? 8 factions of 12 players, whatever it is. That's all that can be playing. We don't have factions, so we could like get somebody in. We could get 20 people in next week if we wanted to, and up it to 60. I mean, we're not held to any one set number. Right now, we have 43 we're working with. We can bring in people if we want to, depending on how it goes. We got a lot of freedom at this point. It's in development, so. But we're getting off tangent. We're almost half an hour in. We're talking about Star Wars Episode 3 now. So enough FCL talk. I'll bring it to you next week. Maybe I'll even bring a segment in at some point. But that's our Star Wars talk for the week at this point for Schmodown and trivia matches go. I don't want to just come over here and what the hell? I talked about Star Wars. You're talking about the FCL. What the fuck is that? Wow. Go find out on March 30th. Let's get into it now. Revenge of the Sith, Star Wars Episode 3. The prequels are always very polarizing, but it's interesting to see where it's come now. Here we are. Over 15 years later since the end of Episode 3 came out. I feel like the prequels have kind of gotten a new lease on life. Some people look back, the people who have grown up with it are coming of age now and they love it. People looking back saying, it wasn't that bad. At the time, there was definitely a struggle bus for some people. But I always liked it. And I will tell you right now that time has aged it for me well for me. Episode 3 is my second favorite Star Wars movie of all time.
I love hearing this. For a while, for me, it was Return of the Jedi, but now Revenge of the Sith has taken the lead by a strong margin. What's up, Edward? What the hell is going on here?
All your friends are coming out for you.
Yep.
And then Jace also love Episode 3. That's awesome, man. That's good.
It's also my shout out to my drummer Sean. It's his second favorite Star Wars movie, like of all time as well, same as you. But I've asked him why so many times, but he's like, yeah, it's awesome. I'm like, okay, it's not anywhere near my top 5, but I see why it is for other people.
You gave it a 4 out of 5 stars on Letterboxd. I saw, so it's way more than usually people give the prequels.
It's good. I wouldn't put it in my top 5, but
don't break my heart now.
You're breaking my heart.
You're breaking my heart.
Exactly. It's the most quotable. Everything is heightened. It has the best lightsaber battles. It has the best worst acting scenes as well. It has the best dark side scenes. It has the best space battles. Ooh. I mean, it's got everything.
It is easily the most memeable of the
for sure
of the Star Wars movies, for sure. Every meme you see from Star Wars, I guarantee that it's like 75% chance it's from Episode 3.
Yeah.
But okay, let's break it down. You bring it down. We start off with the scroll, the crawl there. The scroll. I don't say the scroll. The scroll. I like that. Make it. That's my new term for it. The scroll. War comes right out there and says it. And then we go into the first thing, the space battle, which Jarvi was mentioning. Now, at the time, I would say before it came out, Return of the Jedi had been considered to have the greatest space battle of the Star Wars movies at that point.
Which one?
Return of the Jedi at that point.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
When it came out. Because, Episode 5 had some cool space battles. 4 had a great space battle, but they had the ability to make it better as time went on. Episode 1 didn't really have a space battle too much. They had a little bit of, obviously, most of the Naboo stuff was more about Maul versus Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, with a little bit of Anakin spinning in the and some of that Episode 2, the big moments were all on Geonosis. There was no real space battle. There was a little bit of the Boba Fett Obi-Wan bit, which had some cool moments.
The seismic charges,
which I love, exactly. But at that point, then we come down, we pan down on a true full on like warfare going on, and I was just right from the get-go. I'm like, holy shit, these visuals are awesome. Holy shit, this is what I want.
And it still holds up. The CGI for that battle is like there's nothing to nitpick there. Like the rest of the movie, sure, it starts to age. You can see like way too much green screen, stuff like that. But the space battle looks legit. Still looks legit.
That's a good point too. I will say yes. I will put it up. My favorite movie is Empire. Space battle in the Falcon asteroid face field in Empire Strikes Back is very good. I still consider it a battle, so but yes, that is a very cool sequence as well. But yeah, so I love that point. I love how it begins with Anakin Obi-Wan. They follow Anakin Obi-Wan as they are coming to the rescue.
It's a tracking shot for sure.
Tracking shot as they're coming in from different spots. They're coming in, as we know now, they're coming in from talking to Ahsoka, sending Ahsoka off to help Mandalore in the siege of Darth Maul. They're going off to save the Emperor, save Palpatine. But I love seeing that and goes in. The one knock on episode 3, I'll start this here on the knocks about episode 3 at the time, still to a degree, is that we never got to see the Clone Wars really. And now we have gotten it on animated form. But the whole talk going up to the prequels is, we're going to see the Clone Wars. Awesome. We got episode 2, it ends, the Clone Wars has begun. Basically, the beginning of episode 3, the Clone Wars ends. And you're like, wait, what?
Well, isn't Order 66 also still Clone War? Because the clones are sort of taking over.
But the actual war itself is taken, like, I mean, you don't get to see like the battle or anything. It's all kind of like,
there's a lot of battles. Utapau and Kashyyyk.
Right. But it's like the end of it. It's basically it's all the climax of the war right then. We don't get to see the real struggle. But you don't get to see Anakin and Obi-Wan do a whole lot until, get a little bit in this, but it's more about the maneuverings. Anakin dealing with Padme, Anakin dealing with that. A lot of stuff that's not Clone Wars related. A lot of people actually will this day will go back and say they thought that episode 1 should have started at like Anakin being 18 and maybe being the Clone Wars there. Episode 2 being more of the Clone Wars, and episode 3 being kind of more what it was, which would have been an interesting take. That's Lucas's decision. Lucas wanted to show Anakin as a young boy, and if that's what he wanted to do, it's now who am I to argue him talking about his own universe, right? To a degree, at least. But either way, I mean, I get what you're saying, Jarvi. I do get what you're saying. You're not entirely wrong. There is more about it, but a lot of people were disappointed that it wasn't more about that, because you get Dooku killed right away, pretty much spot on. You get Grievous, who is decent, but ends up being kind of a patsy to a degree. He's got some good fight sequences, but at the end of the day, it's not about him. He's just like on an obstacle, if nothing else. And a lot of it is kind of just trickery and deceivery, and a lot of other things involving dying wives and things like that. And either way, there was a knock on it. There was a knock on it at all. But we get a good first space battle. That's for sure. It builds on Anakin and Obi-Wan's relationship, which I like.
Anakin is way more mature. Like from the start, you get to sort of his whininess, everything that the way he was like in the Clone Wars is Attack of the Clones is sort of gone, and you can like see that from his first line.
Right. The Obi-Wan definitely seem like they're more equals at this point.
Yeah, and I know in a weird way, when the movie starts, Obi-Wan feels more like he's having way more fun with the role. Anakin is sort of like Hayden is sort of trying to make up for what happened in Attack of the Clones, but Obi-Wan is like he's having fun. He's like spring the trap, like the stuff that he's saying. Like the way he jumps out. Okay, that's not the actor when he jumps out of the cockpit, but sort of Obi-Wan feels like the loose gun, and Anakin seems like the more subdued one.
Which is fun in a way. I actually like that dynamic better in a way. I agree. Obi-Wan is a lot more relaxed into the role. Like before, he was more uptight about things. He was this Jedi Knight who was thrust this apprentice on him, and now at this point, he's done most of his work and he gets to kind of be comfortable in his shoes as a Jedi. Not forced to think about too much. He's got to go from battle to battle and might as well have fun with it with his best friend. I will also say that I think this film is actually helped out a lot by the Clone Wars cartoon. animated series, because the Clone Wars animated series helped develop Anakin and Obi-Wan friendship a lot more, so that it feels earned. You were saying how Anakin Obi-Wan, and I was actually saying too, Anakin Obi-Wan to have like a lot of camaraderie more. There was another knock on that it kind of seemed like, well, it was kind of forced, like it wasn't really, I really feel like it was real because we had seen it for episode 2. Here we are. I mean, there's a time difference, obviously, and people have to kind of accept that. But it was a little jarring for some people. I think those people going back and watching the Clone Wars makes it be a smoother transition for them to a degree. But
that makes sense. Yep.
It's interesting. Guy has got another question for us here. What do you think of the original casting of General Grievous with Gary Oldman? Friend of mine one of the tapes of performance and described it as haunting. This point that Grievous is more scarier. Look, I'll say this. I did hear about this. I like Matthew Wood. I think Matthew Wood is a good sound guy, and actually got a one of my great story is I got a picture of him in Orlando Celebration. He was walking the middle of. He was just walking through the middle of the big open area. No one recognized him. No one saw anything. I was like, I think that's Matthew Wood. And I got a picture of him. It's cool. I was like, oh, great.
Awesome.
He does a great job. He's all the droids, all the things. He's great. But if you give me Gary Oldman in pretty much anything, I'm on board. Because it's fucking Gary Oldman. And you're right, he would have been scarier as Gary Oldman, I gotta say. So I do love that idea of Gary Oldman doing that. That would have been cool. I'm not sure why they decided to go elsewise. Perhaps because they didn't want another known face. I mean, they already had Samuel L. Jackson in there. They didn't want to have another known face in Star Wars at that point. Ewan McGregor was at the time known, but not a superstar. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why they decided. I'd like interested to see what the thought process is why they didn't get to cast him, because Gary Oldman would have made that a different character and potentially a lot more than a patsy. But
I think he would have been wasted a bit because Grievous is such a computer-heavy character.
Yeah,
because his voice, everything. There's no performance capture. I'm pretty sure it's just a CGI character, right?
Yeah. Well,
the voice is augmented quite a lot, so it's kind of like Kieran Hines in the Justice League. So there's very little of him in the actual movie.
There you go. He was the actor guild and they do let him continue. That could be okay. That makes sense. That makes a little more sense to me in that way. But yeah, like that. I just say that. Yeah, I was disappointed he wasn't more scary.
I figured he would be taller.
Yeah.
He was shorter than I expected.
Guy going through the Clone Wars series, awesome. We're gonna go through it as well. We're gonna make Richard Jarvi watch it with us eventually. Making episode 3 feel much richer. It's
Good
true.
luck. Good luck with that project.
We'll
I watched the movie. I wasn't into it.
I get it. You will be. You will be. In order that you actually love the 2003 series, I love the 2003 series too. But I felt like it didn't fit.
Was that the cartoon?
Yeah, the Genji Tartakovsky one, the Samurai Jack ones. I felt like that didn't fit what was presented to us, right? So it's kind of I like it as a good what if story, kind of to a degree. We will actually do those as well, I think, at some point. I like those.
I
we're gonna do everything as far as I'm concerned. Everything goes on. We'll probably fucking do the Ewok movies if we can. Everything, I'll do everything on this show. I might, you don't have to do that one myself. I'll do it. But so anyway, where were we? We were talking about the beginning parts.
The rescue of the Chancellor. And you were saying, did you say that the fight with Count Dooku was too fast or something?
Well, I thought that Dooku dying so quickly at the beginning of the movie felt too fast for me. And I
thought it was kind of like an Endgame thing that they did with Thanos. You were like, oh shit, they killed him already, and there's like way more villains left. So
I think that's where Grievous was needed to a degree, because after Dooku died, they needed someone to kind of focus on that wasn't Palpatine. So in a way, I guess that works. I'm just disappointed because I'd like to see more of Dooku. I would like to see more of him. I don't like the Thanos take on that. I think it could last longer. I wouldn't have minded seeing Obi-Wan have to chase down Dooku instead of Grievous, potentially. But I do see where it helps Anakin's character fall a little further. I do see how that works. So it does work out. I'm not sure how you could change it. I just love seeing Dooku. I love Dooku's act. I love his elegant, gentlemanly villain. It's a different take than we usually get in Star Wars in a way. But at the same time, I like that dual ops. It also does show Obi-Wan and Anakin's mindset. They're coming together. We're taking them together this time. Get a little bit of the arrogance, the swagger. You know, Sith Lords, not a speciality.
But it's not his specialty because he gets thrown around like a rag doll.
Right?
He gets like, it's such a like weird thing to like sort of he swings him against the railing, then drops the railing. His legs should be shattered. Like there should be nothing left of his legs. How
I was
is like
looking at
he seems to be all right. His fate will be the same as ours. Like no, paralyzed. He's overdone. Get him a wheelchair.
Plus, if you think
Roll
about it, right,
him out.
this is before the Clone Wars animated series, right?
right.
How can it be your speciality if you've only fought one? You fought Darth Maul. How could it be your speciality if you've only fought one?
Oh, yeah, you chop them in half. That's a speciality. I own you bitches now.
It's all about confidence, you know. It's like MMA. You gotta sort of have that mentality.
Doesn't always work like that.
Well, you saw what happened to Obi-Wan and his confidence there. He got thrown around like a rag doll.
Absolutely. He was
His
carried
apprentice
on
had
his
to come in and
back
clean up.
through an elevator shaft.
But it does let Anakin come back. It had to happen, getting Obi-Wan out of the way there, because having the Anakin moment, that's the most important part about the opening part, is having Anakin have that hollow victory that really, like, he did his job. And that's where the confusion really starts in him. He kills Dooku basically at Palpatine's incentive or whatever. I heard it's supposed to be a time where he kills Dooku. It's supposed to be a big celebration. He won the Clone War pretty much, or come close to winning the Clone War. This is the big thing they had been doing, and yet he felt like shit. And he's like, it was a really good start to his downfall. We'll get to this a little bit later on. They had people say, like, people always said some of the arguments is that Anakin fell too fast. I thought that this was a good way to start it that way. He obviously was already feeling not necessarily arrogant, a little arrogant. He's a little arrogant already, I think, at this point. But you saw his friendship with Palpatine already, and you saw him take that first step. And even though he didn't like it, it was already that first step. And as we know, once you start down that dark path, forever will dominate your destiny, as Yoda says. So,
I got a question though about Palpatine and Sidious. Like, at what? Because I can't remember when I like actually realized it. But when did you Paul probably remember best? When was the exact moment that people knew that Palpatine is Darth Sidious? At some point, was it before Episode 1 in the trailers already when we saw? Or the actor was cast so publicly that Ian McDermott was sort of, you knew from the get-go?
Yeah, I think, and people who grew up with Star Wars, they were like, okay, so Ian McDermott's playing the character, so obviously this is the guy who plays Palpatine, and they used the name Palpatine, which we knew Palpatine was the name of the Emperor. Otherwise, even the toys back in the day with Emperor Palpatine.
Oh, was it already established in the original trilogy that his name is Palpatine?
Yes, some point.
Okay, because it's not referenced in any of the movies. They don't ever call him Palpatine. He's Darth Sidious.
And the toys in the books is Emperor Palpatine at some point.
Oh, he's not even Darth Sidious. He's Emperor. They don't even say Sidious.
Right. No, they don't say anything. It's always just Emperor Palpatine. But knowing that, like, when you knew that there's two people in charge, when you talk about a Darth Sidious being in charge, like, it was just, I think it was pretty much assumed that was the Emperor, because you knew the Emperor wasn't going to go out on anybody. He was going to be the villain of the story. So if he's the villain of the story and Darth Sidious is the villain of the story, then that's got to be that's got to be who it is. I mean, it got to the point where it was so obvious that people invented a clone theory, which actually I subscribed to for a while. I liked some aspects of it. I didn't think it was going to happen, but I think it was going to happen. But I did think I liked the idea. The idea being that Darth Sidious was a clone of Emperor Palpatine, and a way that Palpatine could do his senatorial stuff, the political stuff, and have a version of himself like running the show, or the one I subscribed to was actually the opposite way. Darth Sidious was the Emperor we knew, and Palpatine was the clone that was like working the political stuff that he could just, you do my dirty work while I'm actually taking care of the dark side stuff. Because he's always in more than one place at one time, and I know it's a power of the Force, and I get that. It's all good. This is my own head. In fact, I went so far during episode 2 theorizing. This is, theory and speculation. You think it's bad now? It was just as bad then. We just didn't have as easy of a way to
just didn't have the internet.
Right. Well, we had the internet, but it wasn't quite as, exactly. we went through the whole thing. Like, there's this question. Well, the clone troopers are being cloned by Jango Fett. They're using Jango Fett. Why the fuck aren't they using like Darth Maul? And a clone army of like Darth Mauls or Sith Lords, and even with the there are only 2 or whatever. So I thought this whole theory, like, well, clones can't be sensed in the Force because they're not really alive. Or something like that. That was my whole theory about that.
Oh.
So they don't have the Force, so that you couldn't clone Force users. So they had to clone somebody like a Boba Fett. And that actually also fueled this whole idea. That's another reason why he cloned himself and used Palpatine, because his clone doesn't touch the Force. So Palpatine could walk around right in front of Yoda, right in front of Mace Windu, and nobody would sense the Force in him or the dark side of him because he has no Force. Whatever it is.
So when they said the sequel trilogy has no plan, really there was a plan in place. It was just
he was cloned because he did clone himself.
It was POD had it. POD knew the twist in the Rise of Skywalker before anyone else did.
Yep,
that's what it was. Yeah, I did way back in the day,
and it was perfectly explained. Dark magic cloning, Sith lore clone, dark magic.
They probably went back and saw a load of POD's like old messenger board posts and were like, "Let's go with that one."
I like that. Could have worked. Totally could have worked. I had so much fun speculating about that and everything else. And people got of course, people take too much like too serious, like that. Fuck that bullshit. I was like, I liked it. I thought I filled in some gaps for me, but either way, I'll go too far off. Wasn't explained that they needed a human base because they're more easily manipulated. I think that was definitely talked about at some point. Well, but they were also manipulated anyway, as far as like the chip was supposed to be their parts. I know there's also for Order 66, but also they're supposed to make them easily controllable. But that probably does make sense too, that the Force couldn't be, if you had a strong connection to the Force, you wouldn't be as easily manipulated as well. Same thing as weak-minded fools, but and wasn't Sifo Dyas originally meant to be a Sidious in episode 2? You know what? I kind of think that's true. I don't remember. Like, the funny thing is, I remember afterwards trying to look that back up and trying to see, because it doesn't make sense that it wasn't, because it's fucking the same name. It's I think even at one point it was Sifo Dyas at one point, I think it was, and they changed it to Sifo Dyas, I think, at one point.
I always thought it was like if you've seen the movie Angel Heart, the Louis Cypher, I always thought it was something like that.
Right.
The Lucifer, the Sifo Dyas. I was like, oh, okay, maybe that's
right.
It's Sidious, but like spelled different, like Angel Heart.
Exactly. That's I think is what it was supposed to be. So I think you're right, Tim. I do think you're right, but now it's kind of like they kind of erased that in a way. So I haven't gotten much confirmation about that. But maybe one day when I read I'm reading a book. I wish the name of it. It's called
Star Wars book?
Archives. Yeah, it's a book called Star Wars Archive. That's what it is. It's a big book. It just came out with a prequel trilogy, which is great. I'm reading the originals, I guess, because it came down. It's like it's like $150 book. It's like a huge book and everything else. But they had a cheaper $40 version come out that was a little slowed down. I got that version for the episodes 4, 5, and 6, and all it does is it just takes you through like the whole process of like from beginning to end, like from Lucas's first writings on it, all technical aspects. It includes like logs, includes like interviews with like people who were around at the time, and takes you like, oh, this day or this month they were shooting this scene, and then this happens, they couldn't do it, so they changed it out, they changed it. All sorts of in-depth stuff you could possibly want. I highly recommend it. I'm reading it kind of slowly. I'm taking it bit by bit. I'm in Empire Strikes Back right now. I'm eventually going to go back and read the prequel stuff, but maybe that'll be where I find it out. Who knows? And then, that could be what it was. Matches Malone, exactly. As Bruce Wayne would say that. That could be what it is. But but long answer to your question is that I think most people understood that Palpatine was the baddie.
Okay, I had completely forgotten what I had asked because this was way further than I thought this was gonna go.
For me, it was just like, oh, that guy looks like the Emperor. That must be bad guy.
Bad guy. So, but either way, okay. So we get past this part. We get back to the galaxy as a whole. Dooku's dead. They still got to find Grievous, as Palpatine makes clear. They got to find Grievous because he needs a little more time to seduce young Annie to the dark side. This is probably the slowest part of the movie, obviously, at this point. There's a lot of
hearings and briefings and stuff like that. But do you seriously are you not a fan of all these like political scenes, like like the opera scene. I think is pretty cool. I kind of people like to trash the prequels because there's so many like everyday stuff in there. Sort of just like Attack of the Clones, when it's just going to the diner, stuff like that, the briefings. I kind of like the fact that they're showing these things that are outside of just lightsaber duels and space battles.
Honestly, I love it. I'm all on board with that. I don't really care what people have to say about that. But I think it's not an all or nothing thing. I think there's good and there's bad. Like I could totally do it with the fucking Anakin and Padme balcony scene. You're like, love is blind. Oh, and then I'm blind. Oh, I mean, you don't see me. Oh, shut the fuck up.
Well, that's not exactly what I meant. It's probably true.
It's true.
Shut the
fuck up. Like, this is awful. That's awful shit right there.
The best Natalie Portman impersonation I've ever seen. You freaking nailed it. Blind. It's not Christopher Walken.
Walken. Christopher Walken would have been a better choice there, I think. But so that stuff I didn't like, obviously. Any of that stuff is just shitty. But the opera sequence is probably one of my favorite scenes in Star Wars. I love parts of those moments at that point.
It is one of the best written dialogues in all of Star Wars, in my opinion. Like the Palpatine-Anakin conversation is...
It might be the best.
Great. Yep.
It's well done. It's well performed. It's well led. Everything about the visuals, the background, you watch it,
and the music, like wow.
I remember sitting in the cinema. This movie actually cost me a girlfriend. But...
Dude, I want to hear your story.
Well worth it. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll give you it real quick. It was I went with the girl I was dating at the time. We were very young. We were still in high school, secondary school. And she was like, "Oh, let's go see Star Wars." I was like, "Cool. Can my friends come along?" And she was like, "No. I want this to be just us two." I was like, "Okay." She was like, "Promise you won't invite your."
I can already see where this is going.
She was like, "Promise you won't invite your friends." I was like, "I promise." And then I got on the old MSN. I got on the old MSN Messenger.
Yes, MSN.
And I hit up my friends. I was like, "Dudes, this is where we're going. This is the time we're going to see it. Book a seat like away from us, but like so we can hang out afterwards and we can talk about this stuff." Right after the space battle, right after Anakin decapitates Dooku, my boy Tom comes and like pats me on the back. He's like, "Dude, how awesome was that?" And I turned around and I looked at him and I was like, oh. she was just looking at me like, "You told him, didn't you?"
You should have just gone like Star Wars fans, they'll talk to anyone.
Yeah, but it was. I was like, I didn't know they were gonna be. I tried. I was like, I didn't know they were gonna be here. Like, I had no idea. But I remember that one bit in the.
You brought him here to kill me.
I probably should have done. But, that bit in the opera scene that really I remember this clear as day is hearing Palpatine go, "Did you ever hear the story of Darth Plagueis the Wise?" I was like, "Oh, who's that?" Like I was immediately I was like, "Wow, that dude sounds cool. Darth Plagueis the Wise. Tell me more. Tell me more." And then he went on the whole dialogue of him. I had no idea, obviously, that Plagueis was his apprentice, was his master much later on.
Right.
But then you see like the little smirk.
Yep.
When he says ironic. I was like,
ironic.
Oh my God. And now I watch it back, I'm like, you were the one that killed him. I had the Leo
Leo moment.
Leo meme moment. Bringing back my segment. Leo meme moment. I was like,
I thought the story was that's not from a Jedi. I thought the story was going to be that she invited you to see Star Wars and you were like, awesome, that like this chick is into Star Wars, this is amazing. And then you were like into the movie and she wanted to make out during the movie and you were like, no, this isn't the movie song.
no.
Don't touch my lightsaber.
I mean that probably would have happened like if we weren't interrupted and like she tried. I would have been like, whoa. He's talking about Darth Plagueis the Wise right now. Hush.
Talking about my boy.
I don't know. I may have been turned down a little bit. Maybe I've been like the whole think about it a little bit.
She had no interest in Star Wars. She just wanted to be away from her parents for a day.
Fair enough. Oh man, I'm cooking up.
I do have a question though that it happens before, like right after the big battle where they rescued Palpatine, is when they're walking inside. I don't know if it's the Senate building or whenever Anakin is talking to Bail Organa, and Padme is like around the corner. He's like, "Excuse me." Bail goes, "Certainly," and he goes to talk to Padme. Do you think, like, did Bail know about them two? Because it feels like he was, like, why would he excuse me? Just like fuck off behind like a pillar or something. But he seemed like he was in on it, and he was just like, okay, I'm gonna let these two do their thing.
Well, it's kind of, I mean, in the Clone Wars show, you get to see that Bail and Padme have a friendship. I don't think he necessarily knows all, but I think a lot of people that were close to them had an idea. We find out later on in Clone Wars that Obi-Wan definitely had an idea at worst. Honestly, we'll get there. And we know that droids know. We know that Ahsoka had a good idea because of Clone Wars and everything else. But very rarely is it said outright as far as who knows what. But given how much that she's worked with Bail, I kind of feel like Bail has a idea what's going on. So,
because I don't know, this was just like a new thing that I noticed this time around. This sort of he feels like he knows, and he's like being a good friend and sort of just keeping their secret.
That goes into how it works for me as far as the headcanon goes. We don't know officially, obviously, no one's ever said anything officially, but it makes a lot of sense to me.
It's kind of like when you see like a couple put it on their Facebook stats and you see like all the comments like finally, like he knew, but like it just wasn't a Facebook official couple at this point.
Because he also
he's the MVP. He's the underrated friend and confidant, and actually feels like one of the biggest heroes, like kind of behind the curtain always, but always the good guy.
Well, he always worked with the Jedi too, so he probably understands that Anakin's not doing something that's necessarily right. And just it's kind of one of those don't ask, don't tell. Like I don't know anything. I don't want to know anything because you're a good warrior, a good friend. So I'm just gonna put my blinders on.
Did you read the chat?
Wow.
No way.
Oh, jeez. Poor guy. You go, that's awful.
Dude.
And the next one.
Date night. That is unit. Wow. That must have really soured your episode 7 experience.
Bro, if you didn't punch him in the face where he stood.
Don't make me kill you.
Make me kill you. Sorry, we're laughing at your pain, Andres. We're laughing at your pain. I'm hoping that 6 years later, it's not quite as hurtful as it is.
Funnily enough, when I went to see episode 7 in the cinema, my to-be girlfriend was at that same screening with another guy as well. We were already like chatting each other up, like but not dating. And I saw them together. I was the guy. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't want this to. Okay. This didn't go as planned, but all right, I'm the guy.
Exit stage left. Exit stage left.
That's our headcanon right now. Oh, man.
But yeah, that happened, which is kind of.
So going back to the movie before we get too far out of the line here. So we have the middle section and all. So Anakin, there's some good parts and bad parts. I also will say I do love the scene where it showcases how fallen the Jedi had already become when they have the council scene. They make Anakin on the council because Palpatine told them to do so, but they don't make him master. And then they follow it up with asking him to spy on them. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, kind of even logic. All right, we don't want this guy. We'll put him on there because he said so. We're not going to make him mad. We're petty about him. Fuck you. Well, can you do us a favor? Can you just do this for us?
Dude, it's like what Matty said last time, and I can't shake. Every time I see Mace Windu, I fucking hate the dude now. And that's because of you, Matty. I'm like the biggest Mace Windu fan. I'm like, he's a powerful dueler. He's an awesome, he has the different sabers, stuff like that. Now I just hate the guy because of you, Matty. I didn't see that side of him before.
He is the reason why Anakin fell for the most. That's one of the main reasons why Anakin fell.
He is just such a prick. Even the point where he's like, take a seat, and he calls Yoda
young Scott.
He calls Yoda Yoda. It's like, dude, that's the Grandmaster of the Order you're talking to. I don't give a fuck what color lightsaber you got. You address him as Master Yoda.
Well, you don't want
to. Everyone else.
You probably wouldn't want a black man to call someone master. I think that's kind of might have been. Sorry, a black guy calling another. Sort of would have raised some.
I wonder if that did come into place. I mean, it shouldn't come into place. It's more of a monk kind of thing in a way. I know. The optics aren't very good.
I do see the
optics aren't in a way, but either way, I don't care though. He's a douche. His arrogance is what brought down the end of the Jedi Order. Everything, and I always felt like it was because he was jealous that he wanted to be the chosen one. He thought he was the chosen one to a degree. Like he's the best there is. So this fucking punk, I'm not gonna let this guy do anything. And he caused Anakin to fall. And I always hold to that. And yet at the same time, I would still love to see stories about him like told from like comic books and books and stuff. Because I do think he's an interesting character, even if he's a prick.
Definitely interesting. Yeah. And so, he sort of
want him to be alive now, Jarvi.
Sorry?
Do you still want Mace Windu to still be alive now? You know.
Oh, for sure. I kind of like. I like. This is also one of the reasons why I love Revenge of the Sith is I like to see the arrogance of the Jedi depicted like so bluntly. Because even Yoda, when he goes to face Palpatine, is like, "I don't end your rule, Liz." He's being like super cocky. He's like, "Come on, bitch, let's go." He's being very confident. He's being very arrogant, and I like to see that side of the Jedi. That's exactly what Luke said in The Last Jedi. It's like the hubris of the Jedi. Yep. This is exactly where we see it.
Yep, agreed. Going back real quick, I'll sidetrack real quick. There's a small part of me that wouldn't mind seeing Mace Windu alive, and I hate most of it because I feel like he died. It was so clear that he died and everything else.
Why is it clear? He just gets thrown out the window.
Lose his arm. He gets lightning to death. And
dude, Darth Maul gets cut in half and falls down a shaft.
And I didn't love him, Brian. Let's put it this way: I didn't like Darth Maul coming back either. I liked that he was back.
Oh shit!
Matty, no, I like that he was back. So I got more stories, and like I forgave. I think it's basically that I forgave how he came back because I like him to come back in a way. So I was able. I still will tell you that like when he first came back, my first thought was, "Come the fuck on, come on." I love the Maul story. And I love seeing it go on. So it's like I definitely let it slide. But the actual act, I'll still tell you, come on now. But we'll say that again, it's just that accepted. But at the same time, that's right. You should, that's true. You're gonna hear more in the Clone Wars.
Like that's that. Oh, sorry, Paul. Go on.
I was like, one interesting. Actually, go ahead. Say what you're gonna say because I want this divert.
It's just there's one crucial line, and this is my last bit of slagging off Mace Windu, is where he says, "I don't think the boy can handle it."
Yeah,
I don't. Trust him.
I don't trust him exactly. So real quick, the only thing is, I would love. There's a small part of me that thinks a Mace Windu redemption story could be cool if like he did somehow survive and they brought him back, and like he admits to himself that he was arrogant and that he was like that he needs to redeem what he did somehow. I don't know how it would be. That would be an interesting story to me. But
or just have him like completely fall into the depths and have him almost become like what they did in Game of Thrones with Lady Stark, Caitlyn, sort of have him like this total like hell bent on revenge, sort of destroyed kind of dark side character.
It could be interesting. It's not going to happen though. I don't think it's going to happen.
No. It's definitely not. This is just a fun theory.
All right. So we got our middle sequence out of the way. I think enough now. Else we could be here like for hours talking about it. I get it.
Yep.
But I do like most of it went on. I just like the politics and play. It was a good way to push Anakin further down that path. But obviously he doesn't trust the Jedi anymore because they don't trust him. Even Obi-Wan is a little questionable at times. That's actually one of my favorite lines in the whole movie was in Obi-Wan, like Anakin yelled, like, I was like, well, why are you doing it?
The
Why are you
council
doing
is
it?
asking you.
Like, the council is asking you because Obi-Wan hates it too. You can tell he hates it.
Yep. No, he's on Anakin's side for sure, and that they have one of the best conversations when it's the last time that they meet. When Obi-Wan's like on the bridge, sort of, he's in the light, Anakin is in the dark, sort of, and they're having like the sweetest conversation, like brother to brother, or even father to father son conversation.
Absolutely.
I love those parts. Yeah.
Yeah. So then we have the battles. We have the battles on Utapau and on Kashyyyk and everything going down. And they're good battles. They're fine battles. Oh, they seem like almost like unimportant to a degree. It's kind of like, okay, we're now just waiting for Vader to fall at this point. Now at this point, we're getting close to the end. Like, we're like, come on, let's get this going.
Can I insert a question like I usually do? Like, this is me not knowing everything about Star Wars. Before we get into the battles, do you think, like, when he's having the visions, the bad dreams, sort of, when his downfall sort of deepens, is it? Do you think it's Palpatine that's sort of fueling that side of him, or is he actually seeing the future in this sort of? It's like a like a chaos thing that happens. He's seeing something that might happen, but because of the dreams, he's sort of going down that road, or is it just Palpatine giving him these sort of weird dreams?
That's a theory. That's been a theory for a while. I don't think there's ever been any confirmation one way or another that I can remember, anything that was specifically confirming or even necessarily denying that was the case. It would make sense that Palpatine was influencing one way, but also it makes sense that Anakin's possibly seeing the future as well. I think it could be a mixture of both. It could be just Palpatine his influence on him, is that dark side energy goes into him and it's gonna come out somehow. Maybe that's how it manifests itself. That's kind of the way I look at it. Not exactly going, I'm gonna put these bad dreams in your head or choose way that. It's just that Anakin's touching the dark side a few times and being around Palpatine, who's obviously exerting some influence on him. I think that's what leads to the bad dreams. I think of that nature, the prophetic possible sense of the future. So.
Yeah, and that is followed with one of my favorite lines in Star Wars is when he goes to Yoda to talk about those dreams, and then Yoda says the famous line of "Death is just a natural part of life." Like this, sort of like in such a Gandalf thing to say when Gandalf is talking to Mary. No, it's Pippin. Yeah, and during the battle of Gondor, exactly. I love that, and I use that whenever like I lose someone, and sort of still helps me. Still helps to cope with that stuff.
Yeah, so that's about that. But you can tell, you see right there, Anakin's already not accepting it, though. You can tell.
No,
he's not. He's like, yep.
But it's a perfect, like, how do you, like, everything Yoda says makes sense. Like, but train yourself to let go of the person you love most in this world. Like, put yourself in that situation. You're all good people. Like, you're a Jedi in my eyes. So, okay, not Matty. Matty's dark side. He's always dark side. But could you train yourself of letting go of the person that you love the most? I mean, it's an impossible thing.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It's almost impossible. It's a hard thing to even fathom in a way. And we're just regular people who don't have to fight battles against Sith Lords. Matty and I will fight every once in a while, I guess.
But yeah, then we get into the battles. This is another one where Anakin sort of gets shunned by the council. It's like, Chancellor asks that I lead the campaign. No, a Jedi with more experience is needed. Obi-Wan should go, and Obi-Wan, like, he should be like, oh, let's talk. He's like, I should go. Fuck Anakin. It's like, a more master with more experience should go. Obi-Wan should go. Sort of, dude. He's your friend right there. He has to be in charge. It's just fuck you.
Well, I think Obi-Wan knows that he's not going to get over. I think once Anakin did that, Palpatine wanted him to be in charge. That was going to be a no-fly. So I was like, I can't argue that one. I'm not going to argue this one. It's not going to make it. And honestly, I think this is one of Obi-Wan's small faults in the movie. As a character, I think he's like, yeah, I'll take it. I'll happily take it. I want to fucking end this thing. So I think he's got not arrogance, but all the Jedi have their arrogance. Well, some of them are lesser than others, and I think that's Obi-Wan's excited to do it. So.
Imagine if Anakin had gone with him,
or just Anakin had gone, and it would have been Obi-Wan going with Mace. No, because Anakin wouldn't have a talk to Chancellor. They wouldn't know that he knows the dark side.
Right. Absolutely. So, all right. Moving on to the big battle sequences. Obviously, the battles are fine. Kashyyyk is a cool battle. You're going to see a lot of Wookiees. It's more of a
fine.
Well, because to me, honestly, every time I watch them, I watch the battle. Okay, but it's like I watch the battle in the beginning. I'm all into it. You take a step back, and we kind of relax. See the shitty romance part, see the cool politics part. But I kind of like stay back. All right. We get into the battle sequence. It's kind of like you move forward. Like, okay, it's starting. I'm still waiting for the best part that's going to come. So, like, the battles themselves are almost a distraction at that point. It's kind of like, okay, yeah, we get it. Cool fights, lasers, swinging Wookiees on branches. Okay,
dude, Kashyyyk was awesome to see, though.
It was
really cool to see a lot of Wookiees like all together. They're sort of, they are these like what do you call them? Like partisan? No, their war style is more, what's the word I'm looking for? Not partisan, but guerrilla warfare. That's right.
Yeah, it's a main Star Wars topic when you have the main Star Wars George Lucas thing was the indigenous creatures be able to beat the large technological destructions kind of thing in a way where the Ewoks came from. Will be the same type of thing. So I mean,
and they all had the crossbows. It's sort of you thought of the crossbow as sort of like a Chewie's weapon, but it's actually like a Wookiee weapon. So, yeah.
But yeah, no, and they're good. Utapau is fine. Like Obi-Wan's battles here and there, and the troopers come in. I mean, obviously, one of the best parts about the whole movie was Obi-Wan dropping. Hello there. The arrogance of Obi-Wan Kenobi on full display.
And when he drops the thingy that he drops from the ceiling that kills the electro blade wielding guardians, that was supposed to be the battle was supposed to be between Obi-Wan, Grievous, and these electro guards. I'm gonna just call them that. But George Lucas there was like a huge battle that Ewan McGregor had to learn. There was like a lot of choreography that he already learned, and then during filming he was like, "Nope, we're scrapping this. You're just gonna drop this load on these guys and just fight Grievous." So kind of like the Han Solo moment, just kill them with a gunshot.
Made sense.
No, and he said that the movie was already so long that the battle wasn't the main part of this story, because this movie was initially supposed to be 4 hours long. He tried to make a 4-hour movie. Yeah. Dude, I want to see the Lucas cut. Release the Lucas cut.
Unfortunately, only there's a cut. That's the problem, unfortunately. I wish there was. I wish I would have released that. I'd totally be all about that. I mean, I would totally stay here for 5-6 hours watching this thing.
Oh, for sure.
But so yeah, it's okay. So the battles are great. I mean, I don't have much to say about the battles because they're fine. Except we want to talk about Obi-Wan versus Grievous and go on to Order 66. Or getting
so uncivilized.
Okay. All right, Obi-Wan versus Grievous. Let's talk about that. Obviously, that part is cool. Seeing the battle and Grievous is a little cycle. Obi-Wan and Boba
spinning the sabers, and you can see that Obi-Wan's sort of like unbalanced. He sort of does like this weird thing. He's not used to his fighting style, but quite easily. I also love the fact that he quite easily defeats Grievous. It's supposed to be he can. You think that, oh shit, we're gonna get like this amazing battle now between Grievous. He's been taught to fight like a Jedi, but no, Obi-Wan kind of defeat with a saber. He's no match to him.
Yeah, that's true. And Grievous is, and that's why I think what Andre's mentioned before. He's not as scary. He comes off kind of bumbling to a degree. Whereas in like the original 2003, the Tartakovsky Clone Wars series, when they first introduced him, he was scary. He was like this nightmarish kind of creature. And then in the movie, it's like, and even the Clone Wars cartoon, even in the animated series, like he's not especially scary. He's got some good moments. There's actually one or two episodes which are good, which we'll get to that way. But overall, yeah, that's exactly it.
Sorry,
that's the one that as an episode specifically, Grievous's lair. That is a good way that shows him being scary. But most part of episode 3, it's a patsy. She takes them in, takes Obi-Wan and Anakin to the ship. They bust free, and he has to escape. And here we are, Obi-Wan versus Grievous. Here, it's not the big Obi-Wan. One little moment towards the end where he has to lose the saber for a minute and stupidly tries to headbutt him or punch him or whatever.
Yeah, he was laying on the ground and he tried to kick him in the leg. And
Yeah.
like I've been kicked in the leg like a few times. Like if you kick chin on chin, that is it's agony. It hurts
Yeah.
so much. So I felt that when he kicked the metal plating, like I had to hold my shin. I was like, ooh.
I played way too much football to know that pain as well.
And have you ever noticed the two droids in the background nudge each other as we were saying to sabers? Yes, I do.
I haven't. I haven't.
It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. That's what I love about Lucas and Phil. They always tend to like humanize the droids a little bit, which is funny to me.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't mind that. Some people get bothered by that. I think it's funny. I like.
The droid is one droid on Grievous's ship is like super sarcastic. It's like giving Grievous the saber. Grievous takes and he's like, "You're welcome." So that is like a snarky attitude for that droid right there.
Oh man, but so let's move on then. So we get the big battle at the end there. Obi-Wan does so uncivilized and it's all over. It's a good battle, but the best part then is now Anakin. Obviously, this is what we've been waiting for. Anakin finds out, has this little discussion with Palpatine where he uncovered the truth. Palpatine lays the cards out on the table, so to speak, and here we are. We're ready to go, and Anakin's like making this decision. He puts the saber up, and he's going to do the right thing and turn in Palpatine. And who does he have to go tell? That fucking Mace Windu, right? Fucking Mace Windu again. If it had been Yoda that Anakin had talked to, whole different story, right? I mean, this is like, it's amazing to me how much Mace fucks this up. Like, left and right, fucked it up every which way possible. But before we get there, I love that scene with Anakin and Palpatine. Palpatine finding out his Sith side out. You can see him be so, I mean, it's a hint of it in the opera scene, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But this is where it really comes in. He's like, I feel your anger. Like it's like, oh, he's really going down.
Your focus makes you stronger.
I like the scene where he's like, you can save anyone, even your wife.
Mm-hmm.
I know what's going on there, boy. I know what you're doing.
I know you're hitting that.
You're hitting that shit. And Anakin's like, what the fuck? I thought no one knew because you're a fucking idiot. You think no one knew. But at the end of the day, it's just a good scene. It's a good scene. And Anakin makes his choice. And you like seeing that. You like seeing Anakin make the right choice because it's a sign that he doesn't fall too fast. But it plants that seed in his head because he's already got this nightmare. He's already got this whole thing that Padme's going to die. I got to figure out some way out of it. Oh, Palpatine has a way out of it. Okay. So how can I make this work? I want to get the secret from Palpatine, but I got to take him down too. So he's working this all on his head, 1,000,000 miles an hour. And then he's got to go see fucking Mace Windu. And what does Mace Windu say? Nah, you ain't coming. I don't trust you, boy. I don't trust you. You earn my trust. Maybe I'll say, maybe I'll let you lick my boots if if you're right. You know,
who would get the credit for bringing in Palpatine if it had worked?
Mace
like it wouldn't have been Anakin; it would have been Mace.
And Mace would have come back. Yeah, Anakin, you did good. Now, you're fine. You're fine. You can be my lapdog now. Maybe I'll make you master now. Maybe like it's this whole big arrogant thing. But then you bring Mace and company to Palpatine's chambers, as it were.
Such an awesome line that he delivers when he walks in with all the Jedi, like Kid Fisto and I can't remember. No, it wasn't Plo Koon. Someone was there.
Agent Kolar, Kid Fisto, and I was right the fourth.
Yeah, I don't remember the names exactly. So, but they all just in the name of the Galactic Senate of the Republic, you are under arrest, and they all like light their sabers so fast they go down, like just Palpatine just mows them down. And Kit actually lasts for quite a while. Like he seems to be like the second best after Mace.
Right, but by a little while you mean like 3 seconds instead of 2 seconds. Yeah, basically, honestly, is what it is.
I mean, wasn't it like Stacey Teen went down first? Like
we went right into it, boom, and then Adrian Coley went up to that, and then Kit Fisto does it at that point. But yeah,
I thought you said. I'm sorry. I thought you said sexy teen.
Sexy teen.
I was like, dude, chill.
That was the other one. I wasn't always there. But yeah, It's good to get them out of the way. It just shows like because these guys are touted as like Jedi high, big Jedi's. I mean, you don't have to see a whole lot of them. That's part of the reason why Clone Wars helps it too. It's kind of like okay, these Jedi. Who are these guys? They're just Jedi. No, they're pretty strong Jedi from what we are finding out later on. Especially Kit Fisto is the big one. He has big moments in the Clone Wars and things of that nature. So to have Palpatine take them out like they're nothing, and then have fight Mace Windu. That's a great battle. There's a couple of times in there that it looks to me like
the pokey thing, the pokey fighting.
And what actually fun thing? What was that?
I'm not crazy about Palpatine's fighting style. Like,
No, yeah, I thought it was kind of funny and kind of twisted and evil the way he fought, and I love the fact that Rey kind of adapted that, because she's a Palpatine. Sort of does the same pokey thingies to Kylo Ren at the beginning, their first fight. I mean,
the funny thing is, there's this weird like facial expression that he makes at one point. I don't even know what it is. He's like,
yeah, I love that. I love those expressions.
Now, to me, here's a question I have for you guys: does Palpatine
lose on purpose?
Yes, Palpatine lose on purpose.
I think he does.
Could he have defeated Mace Windu if it was just Palpatine versus Mace Windu without any plans in place about moving Anakin?
I feel like Palpatine is stronger. I think Mace would have probably, if it was just like like lightsaber fighting, because there's no rules. It can use. I think it was just lightsaber against lightsaber. Mace would probably prevail because he's known as the greatest lightsaber, the best dueler, right? But Palpatine has all other Force stuff like lightning, etc., etc. I feel like overall he would have defeated if there's like no rules.
I think Palpatine wins easily. I don't think, maybe not easily, but I think he wins. I think it's point blank. Like, when Anakin comes in and stops him, I mean, Palpatine goes very quickly from limited power. He's like, it's all good. The
Jedi are taking over.
It's all a ploy to make himself look bad for Anakin, and then Anakin will take over. I think Palpatine fucks him up, and I think he wins easily. He fucked up the three. He's like, I gotta get these three out of the way, so I'll take care of them, and then I'll draw him. I'll draw Mace in, and I'll draw Anakin in with the Force, so to speak. I think he doesn't.
I mean, if we go into the Clone Wars, if we're talking in the Clone Wars as well, as much as I hate to do this,
he does scream.
As much as Justin Hamilton likes to remind me of this, he fucked up more.
He did fucked up
more.
He
fucked up more pretty bad.
And Savage.
And Savage. And this was more with his double-bladed lightsaber and the dark saber, and Palpatine put a fucking whooping on it.
You're gonna see that episode. That's gonna be one of your favorite episodes, Jarvi. I promise you. That battle is fucking sweet. That battle is fucking sweet. I gotta tell you. It's actually one of my favorite lightsaber battles of all time. I love it so much.
That thing that Kopo just said, I didn't know about Force Scream.
Yeah,
that is because you can hear he does a weird scream as he sort of goes. Yep.
So
good call.
But so anyway, Anakin comes in, saves the day to a degree from saves the world from Mace Windu at least anymore, and then he falls under Palpatine's spell. Now here's the thing: does it work for you? Does it not? It doesn't work for some people. Some people say it's too much.
It's too fast, right?
It's too fast. All of a sudden, he's like, he's doing his thing. What are we doing? All of a sudden, yep, I'm Darth Vader now. All right, I'll kneel and whatever. I'll do whatever I have to do to save my wife. And that seems like a genuine motivation. I think it's a little bit of clunky dialogue. I think a little better dialogue. It could have been better served, to be honest with you. But it doesn't bother me to the point where like it ruins the movie for me, like it did for some people. Like I'm still all in on it, and it's like okay. It's a little done, but let's move on at this point.
It feels like he doesn't want to follow Palpatine because at first he goes, "What have I done?" and so forth. So I think at that point he's still only doing this to save Padme. He doesn't want to go to the dark side. He's just doing this for love. At some point, you feel like he's being unleashed finally, and he can use his anger and makes him more powerful. But at that point, he's not completely there yet.
I almost feel like he should have just said, "What have I done?" and kind of sunk to his knees. I almost feel like he shouldn't have talked anymore. He shouldn't have said anything. Because anything he says sounds cheap in a way. It says it's like he's convinced, and now because he doesn't quite have the guts to pull it off completely properly. If he had just like said nothing at all, and Palpatine just said, I can help you save him. You must follow me. And he's kind of like raised his eyes and then like he even just went down to nodding or whatever. He was just nodding or something like that. It would have come across better, I think. But that's just me.
What if?
Sorry, Palpatine does raise the good point of when he said, when they find out what has happened here, they will come for us both. Yeah. But it's like Anakin proves in about 10 minutes into the film, like the whole Jedi Order can come for Anakin. He's still gonna fuck them all up.
Yeah, at this point, yeah, absolutely.
What if Anakin was actually a double agent? He went undercover for Palpatine. He sort of did everything for everyone to believe that he's joined the dark side, but then in Return of the Jedi, he finally breaks his cover and throws Palpatine down the chute. That's
a bit too late for that.
No, it's not too late. He saves the universe.
I only destroyed Alderaan. I only destroyed 500 other planets. You're not.
He's gone too deep undercover. He sort of lost himself.
That's what it was. But okay, so then obviously, I think what makes me appreciate it and be okay with it is that it's followed immediately by Order 66, which to me is probably is the best sequence in history. Not only history of Star Wars, but close to it. There's not many sequences I like more. It's the music. Actually, real quick, I know we're going on for an hour. I do want to touch back on the music that Anakin.
Yes, please.
We go back when Anakin is in the Jedi Council while Mace goes off to do his damage, and he's looking across the way, and Padme and Anakin are sharing that look at each other, even though they don't see each other, across the city. That music is some of my favorite music that John Williams has ever done.
It's so heartbreaking. It's so sort of depressing, but in a beautiful way.
Yeah, it's a very touching, powerful way. And I actually love, talk about the sound. You don't really hear anything except for the music, except for the very end of it. When the 3PO walks up to Padme, you just hear his gears, but it's just like a break in the silence that is like, it just emphasizes the silence even more, because you don't really hear 3PO walk, generally speaking, a lot of times. You have heard it, but you don't really hear it, but it's so like loud because it breaks into the silence in a way. And I think it's just a great moment for me. I love it. But either way, that's when, of course, Anakin goes off to try to save the day at that point. All right. Back on.
The music was a good call, because I tried to listen for parts where there was no music at all, and there almost isn't any scene in the movie where there's not any music.
Right.
So this is the most music-heavy Star Wars movie, I feel like, as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for good reason, because I feel like some of the best stuff is there.
This is my favorite score from him, from John Williams. I love a lot of the original trilogy stuff, but this is the most complete score for me that I like the best.
Agreed.
So then Order 66 comes, speaking of great music and heartbreaking sequences.
Oh my God, I still cry. I still cry.
I still cry. And it shows a lot, because Star Wars didn't do a whole lot establishing a lot of these Jedi. Like a lot of the Jedi we see die, and like you see a little bit of Kia D Mundi, you see a little bit of Securia, but we're crying like babies, like they're main characters in a way. But it's true, it makes you so sad. I think that's partially because of the music, and partially what that meant for the galaxy. That whole this is finally what's
and how Yoda reacts.
And Yoda reacts. That's
dropping the cane, falling to his knees almost.
The heart problem and everything else.
Yep.
And it makes it even better when Yoda decides to flip back and.
Yes.
Hey, you're not getting me that way, bitch.
Nope. Just Chewie, just go.
Plo Koon was the one that got me. Like,
really?
Ayla falling off the speeder, I was like, okay, she could have survived that. Like, it's possible that Ayla Secura could have survived that. But them shooting Plo Koon out of the sky, I was like, oh no, he's done. He's dead.
Kia D Mundi definitely got me the best, because it was the look on his face. Like he's like leading him into battle.
Same.
How they stop and he turns around. He's like, wait, what? What's...
And he's
fuck.
Yeah, and he does quite well. He deflects a lot of shots.
It's just only something you can do when you're up that close, up in that close range.
I can't believe what the battle in Kashyyyk is like, where because the droids are attacking, there's a fight going on, and then there's activate Order 66, and they're running. Oh no, we're actually friends. Let's just disperse. We're all same side, guys. Show's over.
We're good.
Yeah, we're good. Because they were like full on killing each other.
Yeah. But then we, and of course, get to see Anakin walking up the temple. That's one of the coolest shots of the Star Wars. See what he would with the clone troopers behind him. The overshot that I think Ryan Johnson used or whatever for the Last Jedi. Decided to ape that at one point. But he comes in, he does his thing, and of course the sequence where everybody talks about Anakin and the younglings.
Mm.
Yeah. Master Skywalker.
There are too many of them. What are we going to do?
Jarvi, were you happy that Liam got his
Liam, that fucker. They got Liam. No, this was it was. I didn't think that in reality.
When I was watching this for the sake of doing the show the other day, I actually paused at that moment to see if I could see Grogu, because I was thinking like maybe now that the Mandalorian's out, did they pull some fuckery with like another edit in the chamber somewhere? So like all throughout that temple scene, I was like pausing. I was like, is he there? No. Is he there? No. Okay, no, he's not there.
Was Grogu alive then?
Yeah. He was taken from the temple during that time, during the Clone Wars.
Yeah, he survived.
Ahsoka said that.
Right, and his memory was sort of not wiped, but
he didn't. I think he might have memories.
Sorry?
I think he might have memories.
Okay. No, because it feels like he sort of doesn't have the memories of his training and stuff like that.
No, he purposely shut it down. That's what Ahsoka was kind of alluding to, that he was purposely.
Okay, right. So there was something blocking that stuff. Mm-hmm.
Just his own not wanting to do it, pretty much. That's what I kind of feel like. So we'll find out more later on. I hope it does tie it. I hope we do get something from Grogu about that. See where he was during this whole thing. So Anakin slaughters some younglings.
Would you have liked to see him actually?
I love how you said that so casually, by the way.
Would you have liked to see the him like because he's mowing down like the older ones?
Yeah.
Would you
I
have
don't think
liked
you
to
need
see
to see him. Some people wanted to, but they would have
deleted scenes?
Yeah.
Why should kids die?
I actually thought it was
I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh at this.
I thought it was just as effective as to have him get the saber. I thought that was fine. I didn't think you need to say any more than that. What are you going to say that makes it worse?
There's a really good one in the Star Wars. There's a really good one in the Star Wars 3 video game where he walks into the Jedi archives and Madame Jocasta Nu confronts him, and he just force pulls her to him and just guts her right through the middle. I always remember seeing that in the video game. Being like,
yep, me too.
What is that in the movie?
I would have loved. No, not love, but she's an arrogant old woman, to say politely.
She makes it out.
I just freaking hate her after what she did to how she talked to Kenobi in Attack of the Clones.
She makes it out. She's in the comic books briefly, just from the one. So, but she actually seems to be a pretty good role in that comic. Well, we'll get to that eventually at some point too. I'm going to have to share my comics with you so you can read them, Jarvi.
If it's not in the map, it doesn't exist.
There we go. So we have the thing, and then at this point, Yoda is alive. Obi-Wan makes his way back, is able to survive. And then, obviously, they try to gather it together. Obi-Wan, Bail, and Yoda, and everything else, where Anakin takes over. Anakin is sent to Mustafar. Padme
take care of the separatists.
Yep. That's I love that line. That's a cheesy line, but sometimes cheesy is good. I love that one. That's one particularly about me. The next notable sequence for me, besides Anakin obviously wrecking shop on the separatists, which is cool. I love seeing that. He gets to die and everything else. He kills him pretty easily, and it's all pretty good. It's Obi-Wan and Yoda discovering that it is Anakin that did this and everything else, and it's a well acted sequence where Yoda seems like he knows before and doesn't want Obi-Wan to get hurt.
Oh, he knows. He knows. But to see, this is, I think this is the first time that we see Yoda and Obi-Wan fight together, like back to back, because we haven't seen those two. So that was kind of a cool thing for me.
Yeah.
Mm.
Actually, there's a funny thing is like I remember that in the video games way back when all the times that there's always kind of a trope that you would throw your lightsaber and like have it come back to you.
Yeah.
And Lucas didn't like that. Lucas said a Jedi or Samurai would never throw his weapon aside, or he would never like throw his weapon like that. That's bullshit. Pretty much that's bullshit. But he gave in just a little bit because there's one scene he like throws it right in front of him and then takes it right back, kind of thing. it was kind of like a nod to that. He's like, all right, I'll let that go.
Is
But
that interesting? Like the Jedi Academy games, there's like the saber throw is kind of a big move there.
yeah, I mean, and that's why. I mean, Vader did it in Episode 6, but that he's not as
Yeah,
Jedi.
he did. But he's a Sith. I feel like they can do that kind of stuff.
They don't have as much honor with their weapon. I guess. You know, this weapon is your life, not the Sith. They have many weapons. So maybe that's
interesting. I didn't know the fact that Lucas disliked the idea of throwing the lightsaber. Now I get way more why people hated on Luke throwing the saber in The Last Jedi, because to me it was kind of a funny thing even that he did, but also I kind of got where he was coming from. But if Lucas said it, so I can completely understand why the diehard fans hated that moment.
Yeah, I get that to a degree too. I never liked that moment from Johnson at all. I mean, I like the idea of what he was saying with it, but it just didn't fit right for me either, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I was like, yeah. I liked it more. I kind of liked it at first. The more I watched, I'm kind of like, I don't know what else he would have done at that point, but we'll get to that Last Jedi when we do Last Jedi, which we will eventually. I'm kind of running a little low on time, so let's get through this part here. So where were we? Anakin or
they were recalibrating the message that's sent out from the temple.
That's cool. But they decide that they gotta go face Palpatine, and Obi-Wan's gonna go face Anakin because Yoda knows it best. Like you ain't fighting Palpatine. You're gonna get your fucking.
What would have happened if it was switched though?
Obi-Wan would have got his ass whooped.
Obi-Wan would have got.
Do you think so?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Obi-Wan would have got his ass whooped against Palpatine, 100%.
And just Anakin would have been just toast. Do you think?
Because
I don't know if Yoda would have killed Anakin.
No, I don't know. It would be interesting to see.
Has Yoda ever killed anyone in a lightsaber battle? Sure, he's killed the droids, but has he killed anyone that's a Force user that he's fighting? I don't think he's ever killed anyone on screen, at least.
Not on screen,
right?
Trying to go back to anything in books. So I don't really know. Honestly, I can't think about any time I've ever seen him do it because you don't see him battle very much, so you don't know.
No. Yep.
You might see it in the High Republic, but to find out in the High Republic.
Yeah.
Maybe see that, but on screen. Because Dooku didn't do anything, and he only fought droids. So that's it. He retired pretty much in the original trilogy. So maybe that'd be part of it. I don't know. It would have been interesting to see. That would be interesting. What if that actually had happened? But I do think Obi-Wan's done, and then maybe Palpatine would have flown after. Maybe Palpatine would have gotten involved in the Yoda Luke situation more. Maybe that would, or Yoda Anakin thing more. So maybe that would have been a different story there too.
Yeah.
I don't know, but we didn't get that. We got this though. Obviously, Obi-Wan wants to track Anakin, and Yoda goes off to face Palpatine, and that actually leads to one of my favorite lines of dialogue as well. Obi-Wan goes to see Padme, and then this little sequence where Obi-Wan basically says he knows everything else. He's trying to not say what he has to say. He's like, they're trying to tweet at him. He's like, he's a bad guy now. I gotta find him. And she's like, she finally understands, like, you're gonna kill him, aren't you? And he knows he's not gonna get any further with her, but he knows he can use her, and he does. He uses her. But it's the best line of dialogue to me at the end there. And he looks at her. Anakin's the father, isn't he? I'm so sorry.
That is. You can feel that sorry.
Yes. It's such a perfect line of dialogue, so perfectly read. It sums up the emotions on so many different levels. The music in the background, everything about that is perfect. It's just perfect. So, last two big things we got to talk about then, I guess, in a way, before the ending of it. We got the Palpatine Yoda battle.
And
that was a lot of fun. And Anakin, we won. Palpatine Yoda was fucking awesome. I loved that sequence as much as some people thought it was silly, but I loved them throwing the Senate
into the chairs.
Into the chairs, they're throwing thing, everything else. Yoda's blocking lightning. It's a great battle. I mean, what did you think about this one, Matty?
I thought there were some bits that were like kind of silly, but like at the same point, it's like they're throwing like Seaton pods at each other. But like the bit where Yoda starts spinning it, like Palpatine it should have been like, he was like, wait a minute, it's still moving, so I didn't crush him.
Right.
Oh, he's gonna. Oh, okay, whatever. And then he just throws it back out the way.
Right.
I do think like when Yoda hit the ground and he wasn't done, I was like, I was sitting there thinking, dude, get back up and finish the job. Like,
Bless you.
I didn't hear no bell. I didn't hear no bell. Get
That
up,
is
you
an
son of a
interesting
bitch.
thing. Get up, you son of a bitch, because Anakin loves you. Not really, but I would say Padme loves you. Because Mace Windu loves you. No, I agree. I think the only thing I've always tried to in my head do headcanon of why things happen like that. Because you're right. Like, why did you choose them to abandon? I kind of think that like Palpatine had called the troops in at that point. There's a time there like troops were coming. Maybe Yoda sensed that the troops were coming in. There's no way he's going to defeat Palpatine and the clone troopers at that point. That's my only thing that makes sense to my head. But I get what you're saying. That's kind of weird. There's some silliness to it, but overall, especially Palpatine's like buck ass crazy at this point. He's like,
Yeah, he is.
He's like this
He's
old man.
power
Like,
hungry.
a Wicked Witch of the West at this point.
Right. But it's a good fight. It's a good fight. I love seeing these two battle because they're obviously the most powerful force users they have at the time. And it's just a fun battle. So, but then we get to Anakin Obi-Wan, which is obviously what we've been waiting 30 years for. 40 at this point. Well, 30, somewhere at 30 years for. I had watched that for a long time. 20 years. Sorry, it's 20 years at the time. This is something had been built up in Star Wars fans' minds for a long time. Like, even back in the original trilogy time, they talk about how did Vader die or how did this happen to Vader?
Yeah.
Well, Obi-Wan and Anakin had a fight by a lava mountain or something like that.
And Obi-Wan kicked his ass.
Volcano, and Obi-Wan threw Vader into a volcano or something. That was like this whole thing's like, really? He got thrown into a volcano and he lived? Come on now. But we still want to see exactly how it went down. We finally get it. And to me, it was perfectly fine. I loved it.
Didn't disappoint at
fine. All. It was perfectly fine. Like, as far as like I thought it could. Some people didn't like it. Some people said like they didn't like the whole cartoon aspect of it, like the jumping from those lava floating things and jumping back and forth to like video game like to me. That part didn't bother me at all. I like that. I thought it was because you have two extremely talented Jedi and they're matching each other. I don't concentrate on that part of it. I understand why some people don't like that aspect of it. To be honest, I do understand it. Never bothered me though, because I always concentrate on the actual like time that they're together fighting, and that makes sense to me. And every fight needs like breathing spaces, and I think they did a good job finding a little breathing room for it in order to get back into it. Matty, I'm gonna let you break this down. This is your thing, so give me your best.
Yeah. So this is a mix of Scoundrels of the Force and breaking down the set. It was I found out in this fight that Obi-Wan had no intention to kill Anakin at all when he went there. If you watch the fight, there's only one person that's striking towards the head, and it's Anakin. Anakin is solely trying to kill Obi-Wan. He is swinging for the head. He's going with the overhead swings. Obi-Wan is only ever striking for the hands. He's only ever aiming at the hands, aiming at the arms to try and disarm Anakin. He doesn't want to kill him at all. And I love that it's Obi-Wan, he taught Anakin everything he knew and how to fight. So this is essentially, it is master versus apprentice, but it's like they know each other so well. And there's an old phrase that my coach once told me, is that the only way you really, really know a man is when you fight him.
It's in the Matrix. In the Matrix Reloaded, I think, is when Neo fights the
that's where he got
Guardian.
it from. I'm gonna text him after this and be like, "That's where you got it from."
That's exactly where you got it from.
But it's like well, I know it's certainly to be true, but it shows the emotional depth of Obi-Wan doesn't want to do this. That Anakin is just so hell bent that he's not Anakin anymore. He's fully in the Vader at this point, but Obi-Wan still sees the good in him. So he's like, okay, I know what he's going to try to do, but I am going to do everything in my power to take the limb first. I'm not going to kill him. I want that cybernetic arm because that's his saber arm. That's his dominant hand. If I cut that off, I should be okay. And it's a beautiful fight scene. It really is. It reminds me a lot of like the old Kurosawa samurai stuff like Yojimbo. It's just incredibly shot. It's beautiful. It transitions very well. It's very even between the two. Anakin has his moments. Obi-Wan has his moments. Like when Anakin full on boots Obi-Wan in the face.
There's a lot of flips when they're just doing hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if not for Duel of the Fates, this would be my favorite lightsaber duel.
I figured you were gonna say that.
This is my favorite one. Again, I love
same
Duel of
here.
Fates, but this is my favorite one just because of the pure emotions behind it, and I love exactly what you're saying. I can tell you Obi-Wan had one angle and Anakin had the other. I love the fact that Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen loved it so much. Like they decided, like this is supposed to be the fight, and we're gonna give it our fucking all. They
trained like crazy
because they wanted to make this so good, and it's so fast. Like I know there were some people who stupidly were like, "Oh, it's too fast. Of hard time seeing what's going on." No, that's what's perfect about it because there's two artists who are like perfectly matched, perfectly like with each other. Like they sense each other. They've worked with each other for years. They're really brothers, and they're matching and they just know each other's going to do what they're going to counter it. They're going to go keep going, and it's such a beautiful dance throughout the whole thing. Go ahead.
Obi-Wan is actually quite often referenced as the best defensive fighter. So in a sense, I feel like Anakin has more aggressive prowess and sort of this attacking side, but Obi-Wan is just the best deflector and the best defensive fighter. So that's why I think they match up so well.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with that. So we have a lot of battle goes down. Of course, it leads to the famous the high ground. Obi-Wan flips out, and some people go, "Oh, that's it. That's how you're gonna do it." You have to have an ending somehow, and I think that made as much sense as any other could have done at that point. To be honest with you, I love the fact that it showcases Anakin's arrogance. It showcases Obi-Wan's not wanting to fight. I mean, he's begging him not to fight at this point. He gives him a shot. Like that's what made sense to me. Like you could have ended it another way. It could have been like an accident, or it could have been like a thing where Obi-Wan did it. But giving him the chance, Obi-Wan goes, obviously having the high ground in a fight is obviously important. Like that is a known battle strategy. Yeah, Anakin can get out of it and stuff. It shouldn't a Darth Vader type, someone who's that good could get out of it theoretically. But it's Obi-Wan giving Anakin the chance. Look, I'm at the high ground. Let's just stop this and let's figure it out. It was still that kind of thing. Even though he like knows his brother is lost, he's still going back and forth in his head. There's got to be. He's like, I want to save him. I want to do something. Let's just stop this for right now. Let's figure out what we can do. And he's like, Anakin won't stop. And Anakin goes, I'm arrogant. He shows his arrogance. I'm gonna flip it. I'm gonna fucking do this. And you're like,
you underestimate my power.
And Anakin boom, takes out the limbs. 3-in-1 shot, which is very impressive.
Oh, does he take an arm as well?
The arm. Yeah, no, it does both. I'm not sure exactly how he does it, but it's impressive.
Because I thought the arm burns off, but he cuts it off, right?
No,
only
there's 3. That's one. Yeah, he has one light mechanical left. Everything else is. So I don't know if he like. I don't know. Exactly
I don't know how he did that. When I saw the legs, I was like, okay, legs make sense because Anakin's going to do the flip. His legs are going to be like right above his head.
His one arm must have been like down by his leg side. That must be what it was.
Yeah, maybe he was like leaning to block the shot or something.
Right. He had like this, holding lightsaber out one, other was down, something I don't know exactly how it was. We had a slow motion of it maybe at some point. I see where
I'm pretty sure he didn't even want to cut his legs off, and he does this like, oh shit, oh the legs, oh no, fuck Anakin, I'm so sorry, you were my brother, dude. Oh shit, well you're gonna burn. That's too late. Right. Yep. Bye.
You're my brother. I love you. Takes the saber because he knows that Anakin wants to give him to give it to his kids later on. That tracks. There's some of those moments that are questionable. You're like, you let it go, you let it slide.
The fact that Palpatine, I love the fact that Vader and Sidious already have this master and apprentice bond that Sidious can feel when Anakin is in trouble. More than Vader is, and I'm going to call him Vader because it's not Anakin anymore at that point. Right. I do like because that shows that he actually cares about him in his weird way. Because this is why I love the Lords of the Sith, the book. Because usually you feel like they're always sort of rivaling each other, even when they're in power together. But there has to be some sort of, I don't want to say friendly feelings, but sort of this some sort of father-son thing. Because it's still
it's not friends. Because Palpatine doesn't really care about anyone.
But in a way, sort of, has to be a bond as well. No,
there's a connection. I think Palpatine made it clear there's been a connection all throughout the Clone Wars and throughout Palpatine and Anakin have always been close to the point where they work together enough, and Palpatine has wormed his way in. I think that's what it is. Palpatine has wormed his way in, and because of that, he can sense Anakin and has a good sense of what he is and what he's doing. So I think that's more what it is than the carrying is definitely not the case because he's ready to turn Luke to he's ready to kill Vader.
Yeah.
Luke can take my place.
So do you think he's only using Anakin? There's no sort of
no.
Okay.
I don't do anything to it. He loves Anakin so much as he can use him, as much as he will be a tool for his thing. And he loves the Sith. I think he loves being a Sith and loves the culture, so he has to have an apprentice. He has to have a strong apprentice. So there's a care because Vader is probably the strongest apprentice he's ever had, to a degree. That's part of what it is. But as far as any kind of otherwise, I don't think so at all. I get why you'd want to think that, though. I do get it.
No, that's something I'm not really, because if I started to think about the Lords of the Sith book, but in there was almost no sort of friendly feelings. They were always, even when they were fighting together in the cave, they were still like rivaling each other. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Okay. What else we got?
Well, there's now we're coming to the famous scene that Paul ruined for me that happens with Bail Organa.
I did
when he wants the kid who always wanted a baby girl.
Did you ever see that? Did I ever tell you that story, Matty?
No. Well, I'm curious to hear it.
Watch episode 3 again, or just this last scene. And when they decide to give Luke to his family on Tatooine, and they decide to give Leia to Bail Organa. Bail Organa
pull this clip up, Paul. I'm sending you this in the private chat because we have to watch this.
Okay.
You will never be unable to unsee this.
Me and my wife watched it, and we couldn't help it other way.
I think it's this scene, right?
Yeah, I gotta get to the right point because I don't want to get struck in by Disney. So we have.
Oh, I found it. 20 seconds in.
All right. You can only watch a couple seconds before you get struck down.
Okay. So then it's.
So no, I got it. I think I got it. We'll do it, and hopefully, even if it gets struck down, it gets struck down for a couple seconds. Hopefully, it'll be enough.
Then put 22 seconds in.
Okay. Hold on.
This is exactly where it happens. Yeah, I think this is it.
All right, good enough. We'll start here. Just watch Bail Organa's face and see what you see, Matty.
When he says they've always wanted a baby girl, look at his face.
Take the girl. We've always talked of adopting a baby girl. She will be left with us.
It's very subtle, but he does this.
And then actually, see, the best part about it is he says it, and then he almost like realizes he says it. He's like, "Always talked about a baby girl. She'll be loved."
Oh shit!
It's dirty.
Be cool.
Sully's my Star Wars love, but I saw that once. I don't know how it came about to be, and I could not unsee it.
I get it. I get it.
Like, Pedo Bell.
He's just like basically he's like, look, I don't want a baby. Oh, I don't want
should be loved. Oh man, that's weird. I think that's actually probably the best way to wrap this up. You get the ending, of course, where Anakin Obi-Wan brings Luke to
Owen.
To Owen
and
Beru, and you get the basically recreation of the famous twin suns scene.
Binary sunset,
exactly, the end of the trilogy, which is a great way to end the trilogy. It made me feel like the way, because the whole movie was kind of sad and downer, but then that was kind of that A New Hope is coming kind of thing. So
and also
back into it.
Exactly what you said, because we know even before seeing Revenge of the Sith, we know this is the downfall of the Jedi and this is the rise of Anakin. So we're expecting all these bad things, and they do happen. But just the same scene that we just watched is Yoda is giving Obi-Wan the information about Qui-Gon. That sort of is like this ray of sunshine in this very tough time. And then the final scene, of course, the binary sunset. That like these little spurts of optimism in there.
Yes.
And during those dark times, they're very powerful moments.
Agreed, 110%, man. I love it so much.
Ooh.
It's so powerful. It's so powerful.
Should have the
Um,
no.
All right. No.
That's all
Where
right.
is Padme? Is she all right?
That actually didn't bother me as much either, though, because like Vader at that point is Frankenstein. That's what it is.
Yep.
His first like getting his body under gear. He's not used to walking on these two legs, not with his arm and everything else. Is still upset. And then no, well, fuck it, why not?
Did you know that Lucas made the helmet so heavy that Hayden was supposed to look clumsy? So
Yeah.
the head is sort of like bobbling a bit.
That
Yeah.
makes sense to me, and that's why it works. That's why it works for me. It doesn't work for everybody, but hey, what can I say? It doesn't work for everybody. But really quick, going back to the scene we talked about there about Qui-Gon, I do kind of wish, but I understand why it didn't happen. I know initially the idea that you were going to hear Qui-Gon talking to Yoda briefly.
That was supposed to. They actually shot a scene with Liam Neeson
doing it, and they do it. I don't know if they actually shot the scene or if they. I don't think they actually shot the scene, and that's part of it because it never appeared on deleted.
I just looked it up.
I know they wrote the scene for him, but I don't think he actually recorded any dialogue for it.
Liam Neeson has said that he recorded a cameo as Qui-Gon Jinn, which was to feature in a scene with Yoda, further explaining the concept of Jedi communicating from beyond the grave.
He did record it. Okay, all right.
Release the Lucas cut. Release the
Lucas cut.
Yeah,
Yes,
this was the Lucas cut, though. Let's be honest. Lucas doesn't have any studios in interfering. This was the Lucas cut. So
Release the Neeson cut.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I'm saying. But I get why, almost in a way, it would have been like weird to like have to get into that now. Like, wait, what the fuck's going on with that? I mean, I love it, and the Star Wars fans love it. I think it's definitely more of like a thing there where I can see why, for the plot sequence at that point and for the pacing, that's why he didn't do it. I would like to at least see the scene too, so I would like to release the Neeson cut as well. It's because I would like to add it in myself at this point. But yeah, that's really it. And last thing, I think we don't even need to do it. I think we're going to be going our deep dive at this point. I think we did the pretty much deep dive of the whole movie. So before we do anything else, is there anything else you want to touch on before we wrap things up?
Maybe just the fact that I can't wait for this Qui-Gon bit to come into play in the Kenobi series. This is one of the biggest things.
I'm hoping it happens
because is it public? Like, have they publicly said that Liam Neeson has been cast? No, because we know Hayden's coming back. I gotta hope that Liam Neeson's coming back.
It's almost been like assumed that's going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, it should.
I think he said he'd do it as well. I'm pretty sure he said
he'd do it. Yeah. He totally would do it. So I can't believe that Lucasfilm would be so, because it makes every sense in the world to happen.
Yep.
I mean, no sense in the world not to happen. So I can't believe they wouldn't have it happen. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but either way. All right, guys. Well, thanks for hanging out for 2 hours here today on Sunday on Scoundrels of the Force. Richard, where can folks find you?
You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Richard Eric with a K Jarvi. And you can find me here weekly on PLD Projects.
Matty, where can the folks find you?
You can find me right here every week talking to you fun gentlemen about Star Wars on Twitter at Matty Gunner, Instagram Matty_Gunner, Clubhouse Matty Gunner, just my name, and over on the Wild Jones Podcast Network every Wednesdays and Sundays talking about MMA, boxing, kickboxing, combat sports.
Nice.
All that good stuff.
Excellent work. Find me at Paul _Denizio on Twitter. You can find me every week here on Scoundrels of the Force. I will eventually be developing PLD Projects more to do a show on Queen, my favorite band of all time. Also, maybe go back to my V show, which I kind of let go for a little bit. Also, find me Action Industries, the home of Ben Bateman and Andrew Guy, on the weekend programming Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern, the Action Guys will be back. Also, Call to Action, which is the movie trivia showdown after show I do with a bunch of my friends, including Richard Jarvi, who is technically still a member, even though I don't think the last time he was actually on any C2A programming, but he's still officially a host of C2A. And
Correct me if I'm wrong, you won awards for that show, right?
We are a 2-time award-winning journalist. Yeah, 2-time award-winning podcast on that. Thanks for bringing it up, Matty. And finally, like I said earlier, the FCL begins Tuesday, March 30th. I am the executive producer and head writer for that, so I'm really hoping that everybody enjoys it as much as they enjoy the Schmodown. A lot of cool things that are happening, so I hope you stay tuned for that as well. And yeah,
I gotta say thanks to my Estonian friends who popped in the chat, which was unreal to see. So awesome! Thanks, Kaupa. Edward was in here. Carl, Eric was in here.
Hope you guys come next week as well. Stop by next week. And yes, Ferris, you're gonna have to go back. You missed it, unfortunately. Next time, buddy. Next time, buddy. Thanks, Tim. Thanks, kid. Yeah, that's right. Next week, we're gonna do A New Hope. I believe that's what we're doing. We'll kind of go through. Oh no, we should do.
Oh no, we got.
We'll go in between. We'll do Solo and Rogue One, and then we'll do Solo next week. All right,
I'm so excited to rewatch Solo.
Yeah, I am too. I actually like Solo a lot. Actually, I'm one of the guys that says that Solo was far better than people give it credit for. So we'll talk about our next week. So, as always, may the Force be with you.
Court's been adjourned. Justice has been served.
Where's my banner? Oh, that's not the banner. That's the wrong banner. And there's the banner. Take care, guys. Much love.